following is a presentation of MRE Uno, Division 1.
Hello everyone and welcome to the continued coverage of the 2025 MRE Uno Tournament here, T5, as we continue in the Toxic 32 in Apocalyptic August. Today we are in the nuclear region as we get set for Yepez versus Acosta. Two individuals that have faced off against each other, but it's been way in the past, so maybe entirely new individuals going up against each other may not be able to call back on their last encounter. Take a look at these two coming into this Toxic 32 round. A 4-2 victory for Yepez, a 4-3 victory, able to get it in that crucial Game 7 for Acosta, and both they've had interesting careers here in the round of 32. Losing record 1-2 there for Acosta. He could easily draw that back even, and then straight down the middle, even 500% there. I should say a 0.500 percentage there for Yepez at 6-6. Yepez, of course, a Super League champion back in 2023. Kind of interesting that it's in that year because it was May of 2023, the last time that these two faced off against each other. What's on the line for these two here today? An opportunity to advance into the Swarm 16, where they will go up against either number 1 seeded Monkey here in the nuclear region or number 8 seeded LaRougeau. Those two are going to be facing off this Sunday during the weekend at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Winner of that will face off against the winner of this matchup. And this is one of 3 streams that you're going to have here today, as later on this evening at 8 o'clock, we're in the bunker region as Lane Sanders will be taking on Yoshi, and then 10 p.m. tonight, late night action in the tunnel region, as it will be number 2 seed G-Man taking on number 10 seed Christian Tago. We'll head down here to the table, get ready to talk about some of the interesting scenarios of this game. We've got Joao as our referee here this afternoon. DJ Curtis joins me on commentary. And DJ, this is an interesting scenario because it's got a lot of Super League ramifications to it. If we look on the one side here with Diego Yepez, he has to win here, because if he doesn't win here, a loss moves him to the bubble spot, right around that cut line, to be able to be in the conversation for Super League. On the other side, I'm sorry, correction, let me backtrack here. It's Acosta that's the must-win to be able to put him on the bubble. Otherwise, he's eliminated from Super League contention. On the flip side, it's not a must-win for Yepez, but if he loses here, then he falls to the bubble. So for both of these guys, they're in a way determining their Super League fate.
Oh, for sure. And Yepez, with a win here, basically ensures a security blanket, more or less, like an insurance policy. And like you said with Acosta, that must-win helps him put him on that bubble. But again, that loss, if Yepez stumbles, like you said, Just a lot of implications in the Super League matchups, though. And both of these guys, they both play very long games of Uno here. Yep is a lot more calculating, but Acosta loves playing the endurance kind of style, though. So I expect this one to be a much longer game in contrast to, say, other games where people play a lot faster pace. So we'll just see how they can last, how long they can last in each game.
We'll have to see, as you alluded to, Acosta with that long, drawn-out style likes those endurance games. The last time these two faced off against each other back in May of 2023, we had best of fives rather than best of sevens, and that best of five series ended up going nearly 2 hours. And we've seen games here in best of seven sometimes not even take a half hour in total, so we'll see if we're going to be in for the long haul. Yepez is also looking for his 25th regular season win, so looking for a career accolade there is Yepez. Want to shout out KT and Sean R getting us those pre-match notes. We understand that Acosta is watching the stream, so he'll be able to answer our questions hearing what we say over the broadcast of this stream. Yepez, not in our voice chat, will be typing out the questions to him, so while I get Yepez's question ready for him, DJ, I'll let you ask the question there for Acosta.
All right, best to start it off right now. What's your mindset coming into this game, Acosta? Like, what do you expect? Do you expect this to go to a game 7? How early do you think you're going to use that power play as well? I might as well ask that off the bat. As we let everybody type their answers here, should be a fun match, though. The last time they faced each other was May of 2023, so let's just say it's been a very, very hot minute since they've last encountered each other here. So again, should be a long endurance type match, though. So if you got popcorn on you, if you got some snacks, maybe even a full course meal, this might be a golden opportunity to grab it while you still can here for a really eventful Friday, like Seth said, with the upcoming streams later on here tonight.
All right, we'll let Yepez answer his question as well here. And there's been times that we've ended up having individuals face off against each other multiple times, and sometimes within the span of just a few months. This is a rare occasion. It'll be interesting to see. Obviously, I wasn't. In this group, in this Uno community, didn't get the opportunity to see these two the last time they faced off. But one would certainly have to think that, first off, I don't know how you remember somebody's play style from 2 years ago. I'm lucky if I can remember things from yesterday. But also, the evolution. We talk about the evolution of players and how the gap in experience and gameplay has narrowed here in D1. You've got to assume that both of these guys, Yepez and Acosta, are completely different players from what they were back in 2023.
Oh, for sure. And with the parity being much closer though, and we've just seen a lot of higher seeds lose out. This is fourth and fifth seed though, so I think most of us project this to be a very close set of games though. I mean, you see like 10 seeds beat like the 2 seed or vice versa, right? Well, usually if it's the lower seed, they usually beat the higher seed for a reason. But the point being though, upsets are plentiful though, but with close matchups like these though, it's anybody's guess for the taking here. Acosta says, my mindset on today is the usual. It should be a long series between us, facing Yepez after 27 months and seeing how we both have grown from the league. Yepez is a guy I faced a long time ago, always a fun player, and it's always going to be a challenge. Looking forward to it.
And on the other side, Yepez says, think Acosta has improved a ton as a player. Before it would be a joke to lose against him, but now he is a real opponent. My first ever match against him lasted 2 hours, so I hope it is as great, but with less time. We'll have to wait and see here. It says also, if I go 7 games, I likely sort of clinch the Legends Championship. That is actually a good point as well. We don't really talk about that during the course of the latter stages of a tournament, but there is a rookie, there is a novice, there is a legend, there is a masters, and there is a veterans championship that is up for grabs as well to the highest finisher of those respective groups. So, yeah, Yepez. Not that I'm going to try to lose in 7, but yeah, Yepez a little bit more on the line for him here as well in this series. If you're brand new to this type of a thing here, in this round of Toxic 32, it is a best of 7, Yepez being the highest seed, as the number 4 seed over the number 5 seed gets the first 2 homestands. Then the next 2 homestands would go to Hasim Acosta, then 1 apiece for them going to that crucial Game 7, where Yepez would get the final homestand should we get to that point. These individuals will have what we know as the power play, 1 at their disposal during the course of these maximum of 7 games. Gives them the opportunity to ice out, force a draw on the other side, and as DJ pointed out, that could be a crucial point in this series. When is the right time to use it? We're going to have to see how these two completely different individuals from the last time they've matched off in 2023, how they have evolved as players. Zhao is our referee. He's going to get us underway here with the indication from Yepez. Yepez looks like he is going to go with 14 cards to start this one out, so we're going to go a little double OG to kick off this best of 7 series.
Yep, I expect this also to be kind of draw ISO heavy. Also, like you mentioned, like just that 14, right? Upper tier, high card count off the bat, though. Starting off with a green one, though. Both of them should have a decent amount of ammunition at their disposal, but you never know with the card draws here early on.
We talk about momentum in the early going of games. Do you think there's more pressure on the home team having that possession advantage, or do you think there's more pressure on the away team, since you know that the home team's going to get the next call in the next game here? You'd like to at least get that one victory. If you're not 2-0 going into your first homestand, at least you can maybe be 1-1.
I feel like it's all mind games, though, Seth, right? Because I feel like no matter what, it's just a matter of how you adapt to the cards as you go here. I feel like home team, though, does have a little bit more pressure just because you start off on the advantage, with that possession early on, but things can always swing, go completely 180 degrees if just all it takes is like an action card or a color change that could isolate you from that color that maybe you wanted to stay on or maybe you wanted to just steer away from.
Seeing some early color swapping here. You had Yepez right off the gate go from the green starting 1 into red. Hasim answers with a light switch of his own off the DJ Curtis 5 into the yellow.
Yeah, very aggressive to do the color changes early on, though, trying to test the water to maybe see what they've got in store. And I'm wondering, what's the mindset when you consistently change colors like that here, Seth?
Mindset is twofold. Either one, as you alluded to, you're trying to maybe find that one color that the other side is weak on, but on the flip side as well, you're kind of maybe trying to fade a color. Like in that case right here, we've made our way back to green. You see Yepez clearly had green as he plays his own card there with the green 7. You kind of don't want the other side to know necessarily what you have. In this case here, with that immediate swap off of green, Yepez is thinking ahead, where towards the end of the game, maybe Acosta decides, I'm going to go to green. He's probably iced out in it. And Yepez says, not so fast, and has a finish to the end. So it's twofold. You're trying to look for a weakness, but at the same time, you're also not trying to show exactly what you've got in your hand.
And that's a good point, though, because you don't want to drain your colors maybe immediately off the bat, though. Maybe that's why they're swapping those colors so consistently. So you don't want to drain the colors, and then once you see a draw right, they can kind of sniff the vulnerability there and be like, oh, well, he's just shorting these colors, or they're shorting those colors. I could just, stay on that said color unless they play mind games, anything can go, but maybe you don't want to drain your colors too fast here.
It's a good point. You don't want to ice yourself out as well. And we're seeing these guys doing a lot of
Numbers
aggressive
game.
light switching. We've gone into blue, so I believe we've now met all 4 colors, but we've been light switching so much, it's hard to really call Pandora's box open because we've spent about an equal amount of time in all 4 colors here.
Yeah, nobody's drawn quite yet, though, here. Yep, Yepez with 7 and Acosta with 8, though. So Still pretty tight race to the finish for this game one, though. The Acosta's taking his time, thinking a little bit, pondering on what his next move is going to be here. Could it be another color change, or could he roll with it, or maybe some action card usage here?
One thing that we were told, one continued theme when we got our pre-match notes about Yepez and Acosta that I zeroed in on is both of them very good at being calculated. They pick their moments, and with that being said, a lot of times we'll end up seeing individuals whose style of play are similar. It comes down to who fires the first shot preemptively. You could have a run all set up to go, but if you wait that one turn too long, the other guy may have a run as well, and he's able to do it before you are.
Yep, speaking of, here's some action card action here. Wild to a red here from Yepez. What will Acosta respond to in a retribution? Just a simple numbers game here with the red 6.
Goes with the sand for 6.
Think they're saving up a little bit here, Seth.
Yeah.
Here, I think they're getting to some action card usage territory now. So, and speaking of double play here with a reverse and a red 3 tied up together.
Yepez now down to 3 cards. Acosta
Might
at
be a run
5.
there. Might be saving up for a run. Could be a bluff too. Obviously, very early. Probably would be silly to use a power play in game one. Acosta has 5 cards in his disposal here. He's thinking about it here. Could be in dangerous territory for Yepez to maybe take game one, but does Acosta have anything to respond back to here, though? Both of them very low on the ammo right now.
You have to wonder what considerations Acosta is having at this point in time. I doubt card history would help you right now. We've
Here
done
we
a lot
go.
of swapping. Oh,
Wow.
wow.
+4 with 3 skips following on toe with an Uno. 1 card left, stuck on the green, and, well, that's all there is to it.
That's why we know that there was a little bit of time
Good
taken
card
making
run.
sure that all of the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed in typing
All the
out
stars
that
aligned.
chain.
What was that, a 5-card run looked like? So
I
you had a
believe so, yeah.
wild +4, swap over to yellow, then you had a triple skips from the yellow skip to the greens, and then you had some right on the money with a green 1 here.
Wow,
So
we bookended the game with the green 1. Started it and ended it with a green 1. What are the odds
2
of that?
wilds and a red reverse for Yepez. So he didn't really look like he had any. I don't think he would have had much of an answer
No.
there. So he didn't have any action cards like a +2 or skip or reverse. Well, he had the red reverse though, but even so, he would have still had to wait like another turn realistically to finish it out.
And with that +4 on the other side, or maybe a wraparound there with those skips, definitely the defensive advantage as well would have gone to Acosta. But you hit the nail right on the head. For the most part, they saved their ammo there until the very end, and Hasim was able to find that 5-card chain, and on the road takes this first game of this best of 7 series. I'll get Yepez's question typed out for him. You can ask Acosta about what went down there in that first game.
Oh yeah, I will definitely do that. So Acosta, the real question I should ask is, what was your mindset in doing those consistent color changes? Were you just trying to dispose of the numbers early on? And luckily, it didn't seem like you had to draw, though. It felt like you kind of had a blueprint coming in, and you just always seemed to have the answers there. How did it feel to have all that ammunition on play for you, and just seemed like everything went smooth sailing at the end there with that long run? Well, really that 5-card run to the end.
All right, and we got Yepez's question in here to him. Yeah, I mean, we talk about that word calculating too. You go back, I've seen individuals, they have different methods in how they want to do out the commands here with this new bot. You've got the opportunity where you don't have to play 1 card at a time. You're able to chain those cards all together. And you look at that crucial exclamation point during that chain that he had there with the +4 into the trips skips. That exclamation point indicates the Uno. Could have been an opportunity there if he didn't get that in for Yepez to be able to call him out, and that draws 2 cards back for Yepez. Different people have different methods of having that chain there at the end. Some individuals, with what we see right there, some would have played 3 cards and then they would have waited to play the final skip to make sure that they got the Uno called in. Other individuals, like we saw here, they're comfortable with being sure to make sure that they have that exclamation point at the end to be able to make sure they don't have the Uno call out. It's interesting to kind of watch the comfortability, I guess, with individuals when they have that run towards the finish, how they like to be able to put in those command chains.
Oh yeah, as long as I feel like with that, as long as you just don't miss out on like calling out the Uno, just putting that exclamation point or even just putting the simplistic command, just Uno exclamation point, 9 times out of 10, you're gonna be pretty much fine. Now, unless they use, let's say, a defensive power play, that might be something to maybe make consideration of, though. But I mean, by then it's usually like everybody. You're probably either saving that power play for some other game, or maybe you just don't have it at all.
Yepez, I asked
Felt
him about
well.
that
Go ahead.
14 card start. You usually see some ammo of some kind, but pretty limited ammo for him. And was that why we saw all the aggressive color swapping out of him? And he said that he had some good number combos, tried to see which color he didn't have, and obviously it seemed like Acosta pretty even maybe in
Had
color
the answers.
distribution, just not the ammo distribution.
Yeah, he said it felt well with having a bunch of numbers that connected in the match and taking my time on that final send in the commands. Yeah, both of them played really good, I felt, and it's just a matter. And nobody really had to draw. That was the thing. Nobody really got isolated in that first game, which really surprised me. I thought someone would have gotten stalled out at some
Yeah.
point, but no, that really wasn't the case. It was just Acosta just had better action cards near the end, and just had the right answers to those numbers. Those color swaps. The numbers game really played well into his favor. Yep, Yepez gonna go 14 again.
Calling back,
So
okay.
so nice. He's got to say 14 twice.
Zhao gets that command put in here. We'll get this thing kicked off once again. I mean, do you like this? Going back to the well once again, trying to see if maybe the script will get flipped now and maybe you end up getting the ammunition cards as opposed to the other side, going back to that double OG?
Not a bad idea, I would say. I mean, what more can you lose here? You still got home advantage right now, despite losing out in that game one, though. But definitely feels like that you kind of need to switch the momentum back, despite it being game two right now, though, just to tie the set up.
Second straight game that we're going to kick off in green. Now we had a immediate light switch in the first one. This time we won't. This time we'll stay in green with the card that bookended the first game, the Aria Green 1. Do we consider this a must-win game? I know it's very early on in the series, but we consider this a must-win game for Yepez to at least get one win at home, have this knotted up 1-1 going into Acosta's 2 homestands?
It really will depend on how Yepez handles the adversity, though. But I would say just to make it even it out, I feel like you got to treat every game like a must-win game, though. Because you can't just say, oh, well, I've got time. You can't be too complacent. But I think most players kind of have that mentality off the bat, but you never know. Each player is different after all. Because some people maybe play better in the long haul, maybe latter half. Because, some games can be simply stated earlier. We mentioned the pre-show, right? Endurance. Mind games play a big role too. So we'll see how Yepez really handles this. But I mean, Acosta had all the answers in game one, but the real question is, does Yepez have them for game two here? More color swapping here, this
Yes,
time over to
indeed.
red. So, gonna maybe try and really ensure the same strat here, and maybe see if it works this time around.
So, the
And he does
interesting
draw.
thing, yep, he does find an ISO there on Acosta. It's kind of interesting, Yepez was aggressive on the light switching back in the first game and didn't have any ammo to back it up. You got to wonder if it's the same case here with the aggressive light switching, or is he doing this to maybe lull Acosta into a false sense of security of, hey, this is going to be deja vu, and then Yepez says, hey, guess what? I've got the colors, but I've got the ammunition as well.
Perhaps like a role reversal. Let's see, still drawing at a red 8 here, so maybe stalled on the red at the moment, though. But Acosta still has a plentiful amount of cards right now. I mean, both of them do, obviously, but maybe even doing a little bit of draw save, maybe a little bit of trickery, too, though. Because sometimes when you draw, with that many cards early on, it could be just trying to stock up on the ammo.
It's a good point there. We ended up seeing in the Abian versus Nam game, I think there were 3 or 4 games in that series where we saw Nam draw back to 20 and then was able to make some massive runs from a 20 card comeback, as Interesting here, Yepez bails out. Hasim goes into yellow, and Hasim still cannot play. So obviously a two-color hand right now if you're Acosta, and that allows Yepez to be able. There we go. There's a swap into the green, but this gives Yepez a lot of choices now. If he doesn't have the cards to the finish to maybe call back on one of those two colors, the red or the yellow, to put Acosta back in an ISO situation.
It's also something to really be careful about, though. Even though he may be drawing a lot at the moment, though. Again, still high card count for Acosta, so still got to be a little bit wary. But like you said, does give Yepez a good amount of ideas, like you said, to maybe just stick to those colors. Maybe Acosta isn't as strong at. But again, you never know. All those draws could have been all action cards, all we've seen.
Again, a reminder what's at stake here in this game. A lot of Super League ramifications depending on the outcome. For Acosta, if he loses, he is eliminated from Super League, but a win in this series and he is on the bubble spot, waiting to see what happens here for the remainder of T5 if his hopes for Super League can remain alive. For Yepez, he is looking to preserve his spot in Super League. A loss in this series, it would put him down on the bubble spot, and he would have to wait in the wings and see what transpires here in the remainder of Toxic 32, determining his Super League fate.
Well, Yepez does have a pretty comfy card gap, though, but those gaps can shrink instantaneously here. Here's some action card play here. Green +2 to a green 6, though, so Yepez will have 2 extra cards to join in his party. But what will Yepez do right back, though? We'll just follow numbers game here. We'll just roll on with the money.
Is that a little check play there from Acosta as Yepez was down to 5?
Maybe.
We've seen
Had to make
individuals be
sure.
able to, from even 7-8 back, be able to put together a run. That's just to make absolutely certain that there is no run to the finish there?
I believe so. I think it's in that realm where you have to consider that they might have a long run towards the end. Because, like you said, there's been 5 card runs, there's been 8 card runs. For all we know, there could be a 10 card run in the making, right? Anything goes in Uno, though. And that's the scary part. If you ever have a high card run to the finish, you know how crazy and unlikely that is?
Yeah.
You'd have to have like a god tier deck or just even the use of power play that might also play a little contributing factor here. But they did swap over to blue here. And Acosta and Yepez, they're both going to both roll with the blues right now. So numbers game, though. Acosta had some early action card usage there. And Yepez still has a pretty decent gap, though. 5 cards to 9. We'll see here what Acosta's thinking.
Yeah, taking a little time, little consideration here.
Rolls
Silver
along.
roll with the blue 7, plays it cool still. Yepez trying to get down to 4.
Typing quite a little bit here. I think he's got a little run going on here, Seth. It screams a run.
Does he maybe have a finish? We'll see. Oh, he
Just
might.
a double play. Oh wait.
Oh.
Yep.
Okay.
Triple play. It just lagged a little bit there.
Yep.
Blue skip, blue reverse, blue 2 here. Real question is, do you change the color? Do you maybe even if you have a wild, right? Like a wild +4, or even like a wild, maybe change the color up here. Because I think if
don't
Yepez
think
had at
so.
least like if Yepez had a wild +4, he would have used it at the very end, though, realistically maybe. But
Reason I wouldn't change the color here to answer that question is because ending here on the blue 2 after a trips play, I think that Yepez is looking for a path maybe over to another 2. So if you do a color swap,
numbers,
you're
yeah,
kind
that's
of
true.
leading into that. I think you'd be looking for number efficiency there. It's not going to matter though, as Acosta will fire in the green +4 and end with a regular green 4. So 4 freshies back to Yepez, and now you take a look at the possession arrow here. It's not as strongly in Yepez's
Wow,
favor.
look at that.
Hasim is in
Back to
striking
blue.
distance.
That ended in that blue 2. Acosta changed the color with the wild +4 to green. Yepez answered back with a 4 red, and then Acosta back to a 4 blue. Interesting choice on Acosta's part, though. But again, 4 freshies for Yepez, though, so it does stall out the run a little bit here. But he went back to blue here, Seth. Interesting.
Yeah, would have to wonder if that blue 8 Yepez played was off of that +4, or did he actually have blue in reserve when he did that trips play and ended on the blue 2? But yeah, I would assume that for Acosta, I don't know, maybe an opportunity there. Maybe
Efficiency,
that green
maybe.
4 was his outlying green, and so he wanted to hit the +4 there, make sure that there was
Might have
no
been it.
finish for Yepez, and now calls back to blue, where he as well was maybe
Oh,
looking to
look at
finish out
this.
in. Never
Look
mind.
at this. Back to green here. So interesting call here. Let's see. I don't know if we'll find out, right? If Yepez has the answer to the call. Both at 4
So maybe that blue
at the
4 was his
moment.
outlying blue, and he's looking to
Could have
finish in
been.
green. Knotted at 4 cards each. Yepez looks like he is going to play, and he's going to answer back with a +4 of
Wow.
his own. He'll bring it back to blue. There's a blue 2.
Hmm.
Was that one of those 2 cards there at the end that he was relying on there? Maybe looking for the number efficiency. He may have been looking for that color swap there in the closing stages before he got hit with the +4.
Maybe. That could have been the case.
So now Yepez with that play.
And he had to draw.
Oh,
Acosta had to
wow.
draw. This is huge here.
Yes, it is. 2 cards left.
Yepez
Yepez
have
looking to get to
those
check at
cards.
least.
I mean, he landed on blue. So, oh no, he had to draw too.
Both iced out here in blue. On the blue too, so we might start going into a bit of a draw city here. Both, it would appear, using those +4s a bit defensively here in the closing moments of this second game. Hasim finds himself a top decker there with the 3. Can he light switch?
Yeah, then they're
No,
gonna
he
draw
cannot.
again. I think they're gonna start. Yeah, definitely gonna be a draw city now. Maybe get a top deck here and there.
Yeah, you got to think that both of those +4s that they had, they wanted to use them offensively for a chain, having to use them defensively. So now it seems like we're scrambling to find ourselves some ammunition.
Yeah, and it's something they had to do though because they were getting so close to that red zone. They were pretty much in that red zone territory. So it was kind of like you had to break the emergency button. Yeah, to smash that emergency button right just to ensure that the game keeps going on. And well, now they both doesn't look like they have action cards, but I'm sure when they draw now, that's going to be the case. Color
Already,
change here.
already twice as long as our first game. Yep, swapping over into red. Just double checking here on blue. There are still some options out there, still some cards, but we have pretty well exhausted that color. Same for green, so red and yellow. We'll see what happens, how long we run here in red. Yellow could be a viable option for a closing color as well.
Yeah, I haven't really seen. It doesn't feel like we've seen a lot of yellow this match, have we?
3 cards in yellow, and this 3 right here was only our 4th card in red. Trips play there with a +2 in the middle of it. So Acosta trying to draw up a little bit closer to Yepez. Yepez now with a 1 possession advantage. Can make it 2 if he's able to play right here.
Yep, is thinking a little bit about it. Interesting to use that trips play off the bat though, to close it down though, with +2 though, but it does help make it a little bit more comfy for Acosta.
Yeah, to your point, it is interesting that you'd end up using the +2 somewhat early here in us venturing back over to red. Almost makes me wonder if maybe Acosta could be iced out in red at this point in time. It'd be really strange if that's the case, since we haven't been in red for very long and we were into a bit of a mini draw city there. But a lot of times when you end up seeing that ammunition played like that, you usually, and you ended off on a number that could be an indicator that that was your last card in said color. We'll have to see if Yepez does play in red. Do we see Hasim iced out, or maybe able to find some number efficiency, or does he still have some red in reserve? We'll see.
Also looking back at it though, with those +2, Yepez was at 5 cards though, so again, it was still kind of lingering that maybe that potential run territory. So maybe Acosta had to be safe, had to be safe than sorry, if anything, just to make sure that it wasn't good enough.
Yepez will play it cool, and there will be some more red to
Numbers
run
game
with here
here.
for
Yep.
Acosta. Yep, so yeah, to your point, numbers game, right? We're in that vicinity now. We've used up a lot of ammunition. We may not have
Here we go, another
hardly
color
any in
change.
reserve, so we're relying on that number efficiency to get us to the finish, maybe.
the big thing, I always fear when it comes to number changes is when it happens so much though, then you eventually just stall yourself out though. But again, they've both done a pretty good job despite how aggressive the color changes are. They all each have like usually an answer. Despite that mini draw city though, it's just both of them play so similarly. It feels like
Yeah, color
they
swaps
both
at
play
the
aggressive with
beginning.
the color swaps.
Yeah, aggressive color swaps at the beginning, usually no harm, no foul. But like to your point, we're getting down here into these low single digit cards remaining. You could maybe box yourself out as Yepez with a little a la Caesar right there. Little double play, little jab. Skip into the yellow 5. Acosta will follow with his own card there. The Acosta yellow 9. Yepez down to 3.
Having to think again though, when you think of times like the duration of it, you're thinking they might go for a run, maybe having to, they're thinking of something here. They got to conduct something off the hat, the tip of the hat. What does Yepez have in store?
It's obviously very early on in this series, but down at 3, if you need just that one connecting card, could Yepez be carefully considering the utilization of the power play here to knot this series up 1-1?
If you have that certainty, to win, I feel like it's a great time to use it. Even though it's game 2 though. A win is a win though. Sometimes that just helps with the momentum in general though.
Not really sure how much observing card history can help you at this point in time, since really blue and green have been the biggest indicating colors of anything. There's still quite a bit of red, still quite a bit of yellow out there. Not sure exactly what it is that Yepez is considering here right now, but taking his time, weighing all of the options here. I mean, for Hasim, down to 5 cards here as well. So, one move that you make, I'm almost wondering, is he maybe considering a color swap and trying to figure out which color he wants to swap into here? Because while you may end up be opening the door for yourself, you could be opening up the door to the other side too, giving them exactly the color they need for a connecting card to be able to put a run to the finish.
Power play,
Okay,
power
there it
play.
is.
There it is. I was waiting for someone to use it, and he said he's going to play it safe. We want to ensure that win.
So looking to...
I like that.
I
I
do
like that.
too.
I know it's very early, but I like that because you will have to at least get a set down. At least within those first 3 games. You got at least one. If you don't, you're in big trouble.
Nope. I mean, he made the call there with the start of 14, ended up losing the first game, not going to lose out on a second call of 14 card start. Uses the wild, the power play, forces Acosta to draw, ends it out with the reverse into the Chomik green 8. And
Yeah,
Yepez
I was
ready to
actually going
take
to
and
ask
knot this
Acosta the
up.
same question. What
Yeah,
did he
go for
have?
it.
What did you have for that was before that power play was put into fruition? What did you have in your arsenal left? Could it have been a run to the end? Green 5 with a bunch of yellows, so it didn't look like there was much there to answer that question.
But hey, better safe than sorry, because you never
Oh
know.
yeah, you never know. With that run again, that lingering in a red 6. Oh wow, were they all numbers, Acosta? If those yellows, were they all numbers, or were they action cards at all? Were there any of them action cards? All numbers, no action cards. Gotcha. You know what numbers they were? Specifically in your did any of them at least maybe have a potential connector, or were they all just all just completely different numbers?
Yeah, just kind of looking back here, aside from the 2 big +4s that we saw on either side, rather depleted in ammo cards there from that point on. We saw a, looks like a skip double play, a reverse double play. There was the wild green reverse combo here to close it out, but not a super whole lot to work with. You definitely had to rely on the number efficiency to get you down, so that way those few ammo cards could help you, those few action cards could help you, but both these two, they were rather depleted after putting down those big +4 defensive plays.
Oh yeah, and that really kind of changed the tide of the game itself, though. It was just them having to play defensively instead of maybe what they anticipated was maybe more of an offensive approach. But Yepez does tie the series up to a 1-1 tie at the moment. Though depleting that use of the power play in game two, though, I thought it was a good decision. Again, had to be safe than sorry. The only con you have now is that you're left vulnerable without it in case you have a situation like that again, more or less.
No, I agree with you. Yeah, interesting point of note here too. Kind of looking back at previous game. Believe let me double check. I believe it was yesterday when we ended up having Gone versus Gold. Gold ended up holding on to that power play. And, most people end up planning to use it later on in games 5, 6, maybe if we go into that game 7. Gone was able to put together such a series that Gold was left still with that power play unplayed. With Yepez using it here, does this now give a little bit of freedom for Acosta to maybe consider using the power play maybe as early as a couple of his homestand games here in 3 and 4? Or do you think that he's going to maybe himself think about keeping it till the end? Would that be too late?
It'll depend by the outcomes. I feel like game 3 and 4, those are going to be very important games, though, but it'll very much depend on the situation you're in by then. Um, like I said, I feel the mentality with the power play, at least if you're using it offensively, is if you know there's an opportunity, a window, just take it. That's just how I view it. Now it's different for everybody though, because I know a lot of people. You probably want to play long game here, use it, and maybe at let's say a game 7 moment or game 6, maybe you're trying to end the series. But I feel like the mentality is just use it if you are guaranteed that win, no matter what.
Well, I asked Yepez, what was there any information he could glean off of the card history there that he was considering with that play, and he was looking at the scenarios in green. There was a green +2 still out there, 2 wilds and 2 wild +4s. His thought process using that power play was any one of those 5 cards could have been in Acosta's hand, which immediately would have drawn him away from the brink of Uno, so eliminating those situations. So there you go. Not only the consideration of the power play, but observing those ammo cards that could have very well been on the other side, negating them to be able to draw this series up 1-1.
Oh, for sure. And I know Yepez probably is not going to be too happy because all Costa had was just number cards though. So maybe hindsight is 2020, right? Maybe he didn't have to use it, but you never know. Like I said, he thought there were 2 wild +4s left and a green +2, and he could have had them there in the first place.
Got to go with that gut feeling, right? In the moment, you got to
Exactly.
go with that gut feeling. Maybe it's going to end up being the right call. Maybe it's going to be the wrong call. But hey, in the moment, you gotta go with your gut. And Yepez went with his gut. He uses his power play. He does come out on the winning side too, which is also an important thing. If you use the power play, you want to be absolutely certain that you're on the winning side of that game, so that way it makes the power play at least worth it in some regard. And now we'll see what Acosta's able to do on his first home stand, as he says we're gonna go with a 12 card start here, keeping it up there in that higher tier. And that was something that we were told as well in our pre-match notes. Both these guys, they like that high tier card start.
Oh, for sure. Gives you all the ammunition off the bat, though. In contrast to that, maybe of a lower tier start. We'll see what they've got now, though. And let's see the starting card. Could be anything crazy here. Imagine if it's an action card.
Nope, we're going to run in green again. We've been in green on the start all 3 games now.
And it was an action card to start off with a green skip, so I literally prophesized it.
Let's see if either of them will play off of this, or will we end up seeing Acosta maybe just cap it off. 12 card start, so don't expect to see a play immediately here. Both going to be considering their choices here, taking a look at what they've got, potential ammo or maybe lack thereof. One thing I've been
Yeah,
noticing with both of these guys here too, I think it was the first game was with Yepez, the second game with Acosta, we call them poker hands, where you end up having multiple numbers of different colors, so you've got that ability for some aggressive light switching. We've seen both of them be able to utilize that here in these first two games.
and then again, they've done it's kind of like beating a dead horse though, but they've done such a good job with doing that. And it always seems like I've just noticed this too. It always feels like they meet at least in game one and this current game right now. They immediately swap colors off the starting card though. So Acosta swaps over from a green over to a red, doing a nice little double play here to a red one, and the ditto following on toe from Yepez himself. Getting rid of the red ones immediately.
Very rare that we end up seeing somebody play off of a reverse or a skip on the initial start. So Acosta already with the one possession advantage, now going to build a bit of a cushion there with that double play. As you said, Yepez with the ditto. Let's see what Acosta's got here. Making that initial swap over to red, does he have more to be able to work with here in said color? Nope. Immediately light switches off into the blue.
We'll see what Yepez has in store, though. But using an action card that early, though, is it an indicator maybe you're trying to get rid of the color early on? Or maybe you got a lot of ammunition maybe down in your table, basically, or your hand, excuse me. Maybe that you wanted to use a little bit later, maybe like a wall +4, all that, right? Or maybe you have other, basically, maybe other different action cards like that of maybe reverses or +2s that are just different colors.
Yeah, that could be the case there. Maybe iced out in red. You kind of think about that. Yepez with the ditto play now. Not certain that may have been his only red as well, but if he played a different color and Acosta plays the blue one, maybe Yepez uses the red one to bring it back and see if indeed that is a color he can ice Acosta out in. But now Yepez going to follow in blue. Gotta wonder, just is that in the back of the mind there for Yepez, though? Do we at some point, if we've got the cards, if we got the number efficiency, do we venture back to red and see if indeed this was just a fade-off play by Acosta, or was that his only two cards in said color?
It doesn't hurt to try, but the only thing that I would be worried about is that it was so early to maybe swap the colors. It'd be quite kind of early to draw that conclusion. Double play here with that +2 and really followed by a blue 3. So a little more usage of action cards from Acosta early on in this going, though, Seth.
Yeah, being very aggressive early on there. We normally don't see +2s or +4s this early on in a series. The big reason, the fear of the return. What could be on the other side? What ammunition, what connector cards could I be giving to the other side that they need to be able to put together a massive run? But at least at this point in time, he's got the power play still here as well, so maybe allows him to feel the ability to be a little bit more aggressive here on this first homestand.
Yeah, the last thing you ever want for stuff like that is just the sheer whiplash when they send all those action cards right back at you.
I don't remember who it was that was participating. I think it was near the beginning of T4 or the end of T3. Someone hit a wild +2 or hit a +2 on somebody. The return was 2 wild +4s. Like absolutely crushing
Nuts.
bad luck, but it happens. It happens in the return sometimes with the +2s and the +4s.
Another color swap here, though, this time from Acosta's standpoint. From a blue over to a yellow, so Acosta with 6 to Yepez's 11. Pretty good gap to have right now. And he's still got that power play, too.
We started this game out just like all three games in green. We immediately light switched off of it. So with yellow being played here, if we're able to run it a little bit, that means that green, the color that started this game out, would be the Pandora's box color.
Yep, we haven't seen them swim in the money quite yet.
They Scrooge McDuck?
Yeah, maybe.
Ooh!
They're getting hydrated, though, with some blues here. So Yepez, right over to a yellow or blue 5.
Looking to see if maybe this could be an ISO. Calls back to the blue with a self-ditto, does Yepez? And he finds a chink in the armor. Acosta has to draw back. So now, despite getting hit with that +2, Yepez going to be able to negate that as he'll be able to continue to run in the blue.
Yeah, they're swimming in right now, so Just following numbers game here. Another
Oh,
color swap. This time back to yellow.
yep.
All right. I see him.
The bow tie yellow finds his way back to that color with the number efficiency. Let's see if Yepez has any type of a wraparound back to blue, or will he say, all right, I've been able to draw up a little bit closer. Let's run in the yellow for a while now.
Yepez did get out of the yellow to go to the blue in the first place, though, so Acosta's probably thinking maybe if I go back to yellow, might stall Yepez out a little bit more.
Yeah, that's a great point, too. Maybe try and find yellow as an ISO on the other side. Both trying to exploit maybe a color that the other one doesn't have. We'll see here with Yepez at 9. What does he consider at this point in time? It might be the thought process of do I break open Pandora's box here? Do I bring us over to green at this time, currently down by 3 possessions?
Now, we did start, what I believe, on a green skip, correct?
We
So
did.
we haven't really been on green ever since then, so it is essentially uncharted territory for the time being. So Yepez is having to ponder through his thoughts right now, trying to have a good blueprint of what he wants to do. Maybe, well, I don't know about action card usage. Maybe a double play at best, or at worst, maybe, or just even just a numbers game. But really both of them just find answers for each of those numbers with just simplistic color swaps. Though, again, I mentioned it earlier. I get sometimes worried that if you do it too much, though, and they run a number that maybe you just don't have afterwards, though, or just a color, you're in big trouble.
And Yepez as well, maybe not quite as straightforward of a strategy now, having to put a lot more consideration to it because he doesn't have the power play to be able to use as a link for a potential chain here, or even for a defensive power play. Every move that you make now, you have to make on your own with the cards in your hand. You don't have that power play to fall back on to stop a run on the other side.
Precisely. The only thing you probably could stop them is a call out if they completely miss that whiff on that. But it's very unlikely with how experienced Acosta is, or really in general with a lot of Uno players. They are so experienced and knowledgeable, to make sure, oh, don't forget that. That's like probably like the number one rule when you're getting to a run at the end.
We're about 10.5 minutes in our second game. We've just crossed the 8-minute mark here in game 3. And for the most part, it hasn't necessarily been in the fact that these guys have played slow. It's been they've been taking their time in the consideration of their plays, which, obviously we have to try and fill in the dead space and everything here. But, from a player standpoint, I like this. Back the pace down. Because here's the thought process as well. If you're Yepez and you're taking this time with the consideration, as we see him with a little ditto play there with the bow tie yellow too. On the other side, you could be Acosta. You've already got your next play already in your mind. About 2 minutes later, 3 minutes later, you're thinking, wait, do I really want to do that? Do I maybe want to do something else? So, while it may not seem like much of a mental game on the other side, it certainly can be, because you could start second guessing yourself while you're waiting for your opponent to play.
The worst feeling is probably overthinking, honestly, Seth, and I can relate to that way too many times here. And it's like when you're doing this kind of when you're doing strategies in general, it just feels like a jigsaw puzzle. You just got to find that missing piece, that hidden variable that might work. And Acosta has to draw here on a yellow 7 here, Seth, though. Is this the momentum that Yepez needed so desperately?
Definitely, I think is, because now you know that Acosta is a 2-color hand. He's iced out in blue. He's iced out in yellow. He's currently having to run
Look at that.
in red and green. So now if you're Yepez, you're whittling down these numbers as best you can in yellow before you eventually break it open into one of those 2 colors, which I'm assuming he's going to need to get to at some point here to close this thing out. Little double play there, ends it with the Acosta 9 off the reverse, currently down to 4. So now he's got the possession, and he's had Acosta have to draw back a couple of times. Yepez has the momentum, so he's got the freedom right now to break into red and green should he so choose from this point on.
Now, the one thing, when Acosta had to draw all those cards, he was the one that initiated the color switch over to yellow. And then he did run like a yellow 0, right? Not shortly after, but then after that, he pretty much stalled out. Was he hoping for maybe a number to complement what he had in his arsenal, in his deck? and it looked like he didn't have that as he stalled on the yellow, but Yepez actually swaps over to a red 9 here. So
Yep.
let's see if Acosta has anything in the hat, any magic in the hat to maybe answer the call.
Yeah, Yepez has made the break. So if you're Acosta, if you've got any type of defensive card, I think you have to play it right here. Because Yepez now is in control. He's in control of the colors that he wants as well. He's got Hasim on the back foot. So if Hasim's got anything right now, if he has a +4, we may see that. We haven't yet ventured really
Even a
over into
+2.
red. I was going to say, +2 is a viable option as well.
Yep, I feel you have to play defensive here. There it is.
There it is. He'll keep it in red as well, but
Keeps
he'll
it in
use
red,
the
though.
+4 to at least bring Yepez away from the brink of closing this out. It also, importantly, gives Hasim the possession back.
The real question now, I think with him not changing that color, though, I think it gives a good indicator that he's got some red left in his deck. Obviously, had that red too just now, after playing the +4. So I'm thinking Acosta at least has maybe half of those cards, maybe a red, maybe a few of them, maybe still has a wild +4 in there as well. Who knows? We'll have to see, though.
Yeah, we know he's iced out in yellow. He was iced out in blue. On the drawback, he may have some blue on that return.
Or even yellow.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah, true. And now if you're Yepez, you probably had a plan to close this thing out. That wild +4 now has you having to kind of go back, adjust your strategy, and see if you can put together. Let's see, that would have probably been I think he was on plan A still. Might have been a plan B, but now we're probably into C or D.
Got to have a lot of contingency plans, am I right?
Absolutely.
Gotta adjust on the fly, and that's kind of the beauty of Uno, though, is that, well, sometimes you just gotta deal with the cruddy hand that's given to you, and it's a matter of how you adjust a said hand, and Yepez has to think this through again. Was oh so close, so basically teased here, but Acosta played defensively brilliantly, but a double play here with the reverse and a red 3 on Yepez's part here, so the run still goes on here. This game 3, an absolute banger so far.
Might not seem like much, but with that double play there, the reverse into the 3, that's a win for Yepez because now you've gotten the possession back and you were able to flush out that +4 on the other side. So you're in a sense kind of back in control since you know that at least that big ammo card no longer is in play.
He did swap the color over to green, though, so we are finally into that green realm, it feels
took
like.
us a long time. That took
Took
us
quite
13 and a
a
half
bit,
minutes
though.
to get back to green.
Running low on the money here, but I think we're about to get an influx of it now here. Let's see what Acosta has in return to follow through with this.
Gotta wonder here as well. Off that +4, not surprised to see Yepez venture over here into green, but did that +4 give him any outlying cards in some of those other colors? And does he
It might have
have
been.
any ammo cards to be able to get to them, or is he going to have to rely on number efficiency?
It's been a lot of number efficiency with just the color changes in general. So I don't know if Acosta will roll with it just numbers game wise, or will he have anything left? He's got 5 cards left, excuse me. Yepez has 4. So does Acosta play defensively again, or does he maybe go for the run at the end? No, just rolls with a green 9 here. No color change this time around.
Knots it up at 4 apiece. Let's see what Yepez is able to do here. Does he have some kind of a run that he can put together? Nope, he'll just play it cool there. All right, no problem there, Joe.
So they're both gonna roll with
this game in
numbers.
3 minutes here.
Yeah, we'll see how long this goes.
I don't know. I don't know why, but I'm sensing a potential draw city here at some point.
Draw city, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, they're both rolling with numbers right now, though, Seth. So, but they are treading in the attack zone, the red zone, more or less. Though, what does Yepez have though to answer it? A color swap to a blue 0. How about that?
Okay, so now
The
we're
real
gonna
question,
know,
though.
did Hasim draw back any blue?
I was about to actually think about. I was thinking about, does Acosta have any blue? Does Yepez have any blue left? Because it all could, for all we know, could be a numbers game to the end. He does have an answer though, but they're both in that range of having a small 2-card run to the finish here. A
Yepez
blue
at
7 and
check.
an Uno. This is a check here.
Now the question is, does Acosta have a finish, or will he get to check as well? Comes down to that preemptive strike
He
here.
draws.
He's
Got
out.
nothing. Does Yepez have a different 7 or even a blue? He says, got you. It looks like I think Yepez might have this based on what he's saying, as rhetorical as it sounds.
I was gonna say,
draw
yeah. I was gonna say, watch him draw. I was gonna say, watch him draw. There it is. There's
I thought that was the game, because based on what he said, I thought that he got me there too, actually. So I will say he got me there. I'm not gonna lie, got me in the first half.
So with Acosta down to 2,
So
has
draw
to draw
city.
back. Yepez at check.
Top
Oh,
deck
top
here.
deck there from Acosta.
Interesting.
That could make things a little spicy here, down this close to the end. Can Yepez find a light switch off of this 8?
I feel like he might have an answer for this. There's something about it.
That blue 8.
And right as I say that, he's going to draw.
Yeah, right. That blue 8 of Lara, we're going to see Lara taking on Monkey this Sunday at 8:30. Winner of that matchup faces off against the winner of this matchup in the Swarm 16 here in the nuclear region.
Yeah, Yepez having to think a little bit here. Once again, I do like you said, they're slowing down the pace. They played pretty fast in the first game though, 5 minutes, but now these games are kind of prolonging a lot longer now. So we're starting to see that, that long play on both ends here. Acosta's like long drawn out style, like we mentioned in the pre-show. Yepez also calculated again. Both play very similar for a reason. And I mean, that draw city though. Ooh man, or what could be a draw city after the blue 8, the top deck from Acosta though. We'll see if there's anything. Well, we don't know what Yepez has in store for us here, so.
Yeah, so what is Yepez possibly considering here? Does he have an 8 and is considering if the light switch is
There it is.
Yeah.
I had a feeling he had a light switch.
Brings
There's
it
something
back
about it.
to yellow. Now remember, Costa was iced out on yellow earlier, but in that little bit of a draw city right there, did he manage to get some yellow here? Maybe an ammo card? No,
Nothing.
Still iced out.
Is this the finisher? Is this the dagger for game 3 here? Does Yepez have it, or does he have to draw again?
Could it be a trips 8? Could it be a blue 8 into a yellow 8?
Would be pretty nuts.
Another 8.
We've seen him color swap so many times, so it really wouldn't be to my surprise if it ends up being an 8 of a different color once more.
I feel like he would have to have a finish if he did the light.
He would have played it.
Right?
He would have played it already, though, too.
Yeah, there's no way that. Well, that's true. But I almost
because he doesn't have a power play. So what's
this light switch?
Yeah.
If he didn't have a finish, he may hold on to this card and keep the draw city going.
Yeah, because if it would have already been over now too. If he had the answer, whether it was a yellow or a different 8, so the game would have already been over because he has no power play. So I'm thinking this is probably, unless his internet's also just not good right now. That's another thing. It could be lagging. I have to make note that his internet's not the best. So, but he's got one card left though. So I mean, I'm thinking probably the internet's probably just taking a hot minute.
It's either a win or a draw. There's no other choices there. So we'll wait and see. I mean, I would assume that this is a win, because I think with the lengthy amount of time there for that consideration of whether to do the color swap or not, if you don't have the collaborating card, whether it's a card of the same color or maybe an 8 of a different color, I don't think you do that color swap to get to check just to go into a draw city again.
Oh yeah. I think it would have been pretty self-explanatory, like very fast-paced with that immediately. If you're trying to get the game ender for that. So I'm thinking he's either that or he might have had to do something for a little bit too. There we go. He's typing now. So yeah, had to draw. So I think he might have had to step away for a little bit too. So had to draw, no answer. for that.
That is
This is a
surprising.
20-minute game though, Seth. So I think these games are starting to get longer and longer though. I expect it to drag on. They're gonna go into Draw City here, so at a stalemate right now.
I'm really surprised by that play. I'll be honest. To get down to check, you play that 8. You know that if you're going into a draw city, you're going to be on the blue 8 there. As now he'll find the Acosta yellow 9, but depending on what you draw back, you might end up finding an ammo or an action card in yellow. Then you can play that yellow 8 and be able to maybe run a chain together there for the finish. So little surprised that he played that yellow 8 when he did, just to go into a draw city rather than holding it back just a bit.
I think he was hoping that Acosta had an answer with an 8 as well that might have fit the color
Oh,
that he
maybe.
wanted. That's what I was thinking, because obviously he would have had, if there was action cards, it would have already been over by then. But I'm thinking he was hoping that there was a number or some number that would complement the one he had left, though. But it doesn't look like there was an answer for that, so they both kind of stumped each other. Well, so that now they're just going to go into a draw city just to stack up the ammunition once more.
So Yepez drawing back currently at 5. Acosta drawing back currently at 8. Now make it 9. Remind everybody that this is our first of 3 stream games here today. The other 2 taking place tonight, starting in the bunker region at 8 p.m. Eastern, when 3-seed Lane Sanders takes on 6-seed Yoshi. And then we close out the night at 10 o'clock in the tunnel region, as it'll be number 2-seed G-Man taking on number 10-seed Christian Tago. If I'm not mistaken, I believe that will be the last of our matchups of individuals that are currently on a bye. Would have been on a bye back in the round of 64. Saw quite a number of those individuals that were on a bye here coming into the Toxic 32 in yesterday's trifecta of streams.
Oh, very
Whoa.
aggressive. Very, very aggressive.
Big play there. 6 freshies headed in the direction of Yepez. Yepez will just play it cool there in the green, but that turns the tables now, with Acosta able to have a pretty sizable gap in terms of the possession arrow.
Again, still got to worry about the whiplash you can get back. If Yepez has those ammunition cards right back, it could bite Acosta with that move there.
With those ammo cards, if you start getting down there, maybe have some action cards to close it out. If you're Acosta, I would feel like you're definitely considering the power play, right? Because much like we saw at the end of Game 2, where Yepez used his power play to make sure an action card on the other side wasn't going to hurt him, maybe Acosta has to consider that same motive.
Maybe so. Maybe so. Just going to run along with the greens, like they're frolicking in the greens right now. But he had to draw at a green 3, though. So could
Wow.
Acosta be stalled out here? We'll see.
This is the
Good
third
chance for
time
Yepez here.
that
Good
we've seen
chance for
Acosta
Yepez
iced
right
out in a
now.
color. He was iced out
It
earlier
always
in blue,
seems
then in yellow, now in green.
they're always so close, and Acosta gets stalled out, and then Yepez always seems like he might have an answer. Then he stalls himself out right near the very end. They're just oh so close to the finish line in this game, but they just can't quite get into wraps with it.
Little self-ditto there from Yepez, so unless he got a top deck 3, Acosta going to have to still draw back, or maybe if he got a top deck green as well.
Nothing. Nothing on the green for Acosta right now.
Yepez currently in the driver's seat in terms of color choice here. Opportunity to try and get close to making it even at 7 cards each. And he'll light switch into blue, so this might bail Acosta out.
I think
See if
it
we got any
will.
blues on the drawback. No, he brings it back to yellow.
I wonder if that was from a draw, though, because he did have to draw to green 3.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking that might have been like a top deck, if anything.
Yepez will follow in yellow with the yellow 8. Gonna be the longest game I've refed. You know what's the worst part about this too is Normally, when you don't have the pressure of being the player and everything, from a spectator point of view, you can kind of get a read on what's going on. I've lost the plot. I don't know what anybody's got now.
And they're having to draw again, though. With this early? Interesting. Both in like that 8 card range they're drawing. They're stalled on the yellow here, or maybe even stocking up a little bit more here, though. And very interesting to draw, though.
It's the
I
same
think Yepez
card.
saw that Acosta got stalled out, so I think he's just gonna fall in return. And then now Acosta swaps over to red this time around,
Yep. Oh, and
and then
now,
back to
wow,
green, and then over to green. So
background into Chomik. But that yellow 8, that was the same card that they were iced out in when Yepez got to check.
good point,
So
good eye.
not surprised to see that they had to draw back again on that and having to get out of it with the light switching here is Acosta iced out in green here once again. So it looks like he's
Two
back to
colors
it.
maybe again.
Yeah, looks like he's got a little bit of blue, which he was iced out in earlier, but those would have been on the drawback. So it looks like blue and red for him. Yepez, I've not really been able to get a read on exactly what he's got for colors here. Might have a
But that's what makes him
three-color
so
hand.
scary. That's
Yeah.
what makes him so scary to face against, though, because he always is changing the color so much, though, is that you never know how much he's got in each set, and that's what makes him so treacherous. Acosta's very similar too, though, but this one it feels like Yepez has more of a read though on like what cards Acosta doesn't have, if anything. So could be a few mind games, could be the pressure, how long this game has been, right? That's one thing to really make note of is that, it does a little wear and tear in the mental. So it may not seem like it, but sometimes your patience will run thin with long games like these.
It's a good point, too, because we're only in game 3. You've got a guaranteed at least 2 more games that we're going to be playing here, and already you could have that mental fatigue setting in.
Both at 6 cards, though. And they're both going to do... And Yepez does a ditto with the red 7.
Yepez down to 5. Acosta down to 6. We've not really seen a whole lot, aside from, I think the last big ammo play that we saw was that stacked +2 from Acosta. But that was a while ago, and we've been into a couple of draw cities since then. Has there been any ammo accumulated during the course of that time, or are we literally just running numbers here in terms of trying to establish color, maybe try and ice out the other side at the same time? Or do we see a kill shot at some point? There's a double play from Acosta.
I don't feel like I've seen a lot of skips or reverses really in this game. It feels like I haven't seen many reverses, if anything.
Double check on that. Yeah, 2 reverses, 3 skips. That's all we've had.
What about the +4s? Do you recall?
1 +4. And that's
used?
It.
Or is it just left?
1 +4 used. We got 3 still out there, and we've got all 4 of the regular wilds still out there.
So potentially saving up, or they've just yet to have them quite yet. Here's a wild
right
here.
On cue.
A wild over to yellow. There's one of them. And Yepez draws on the yellow.
Iced out in yellow.
Potentially iced out here.
Now, if I remember correctly, Acosta was iced out in yellow too when they were on that yellow 8. He had to light switch into the red 8. Has he done a double ice here to just put it into a third draw city?
Potentially.
Or does he
I
have
could
a
see that.
+4? Does he have a +4?
Oh, he's typing. He's typing a while here. He's typing a while here, Seth.
Got a +4 to get over to a color.
He might have a +4.
He just needed that wild as a
nope. Draws. I think you wanted to get the draw city here, Seth. Yeah. I think that's a good idea. When you're running that close, you gotta have to do it again. Might be a pain in the neck though for Yepez, but he's like, what?
So that's an indicator right there, because that
I think he's trying to drag it out.
Well, not only that, he might have been trying to flush a +4 if Yepez had one. Take that away from being able to put a chain together with the drawback there. I think it's safe to assume Yepez doesn't have one of those +4s that are still out there.
Nearing the 30-minute, we are hitting the 30-minute mark now, though. So,
and we were warned ahead of time. These guys went into a nearly 2-hour-long series in a best-of-5 back in 2023.
just shows that it feels like they've changed the style. Ooh, here we go. Yellow +2. There's a but he's gonna end it
Leaves it
there. He's gonna
open.
end it there. That's dangerous. That's brave. Does Yepez have the call? Does he have a +2 to complement that?
Could be
Or
again like the Wild trying to
that's
flush out a
dangerous.
+4 though. This could be an attempt to try and
That's
flush
very dangerous.
ammunition though. I don't know.
This is pretty dangerous to have it end on a +2 like this, Seth.
Zhao
Unless
brings
that
up
was
a
his
good point.
only
How have we
choice. That
not
had to have been his own
reshuffled yet? There's
his
still
only
39 cards
choice.
left in the deck.
It's his only choice of yellow because he just drew at the +2 though. So I'm not sure what was. I would have just drawn there personally
Yes.
speaking.
I honestly think I would have too. Because if you're able to top deck another +2 to be able to chain over to another color, that's a much better
Perhaps,
play
yeah,
than leaving it
exactly.
open to be susceptible to.
Or even, like if you just had a different action card, like a skip,
Yep.
like just something.
D1 moves different. This Zhao, this kind of goes to what I've talked about here, tournament after tournament. Oh, he's gonna
Look at
play
that.
into
Look at
it.
that.
Yep. Yepez gonna
Yeah,
play into it,
that's
but
dangerous.
this
See,
is the evolution of the players now. The experience level has narrowed up. I say it all the time. We've got a 4 versus 5 seed here in this one. But we've seen this same type of gameplay out of a 1 versus 16 seed. Like the experience level, the evolution of the players here, not only in just themselves, but what they've been able to pick up from people that they've played, and I can speak from personal experience in this, has really narrowed the gap where you can have all the stats that you want, you can have all the past storylines that you want, but as soon as that deck is shuffled and you have the starting of the play, everybody seems to be on equal footing. The pendulum of momentum can shift one way or the other really quick.
and that's the true beauty of Uno, right? It doesn't matter what seed you are. You can never underestimate an opponent whatsoever. They could have a really cruddy record, but you never know. There might be a game like that. Some games, they just don't have the cards on them. Here we go. Blue Wild here from Acosta, but back on the little tangent, right? Is like, well, anything goes in Uno though. You could have a really bad deck of cards and that just screws you up the whole series in general. And then other games you might just have just the luck of the draws, or you just play simply better. Just some days you just play better than others. Look at this though.
Yeah, wild
Color
play
swap to
there into
green.
blue from
Yep
Yepez.
is a bit confused here. I think he's like, what on earth is happening?
He's not the only one. I'm confused too.
Playing a few mind games. I feel these are just a lot of his mind games and just trying to get rid of numbers off the bat though. Very intriguing though to swap. Now you do a blue wild, but you don't roll with the blues after. Did Acosta have nothing else left on blue? Is the real question.
Yeah, we'll see here.
Because why else would you color swap to green quite fast after your opponent pulled a blue with you?
Yepez is gonna follow in green here. We'll see if yeah, we'll kind of squirrel that one away. See if Acosta brings it back to blue at any point, or was he iced out, and that's why he did the light switch over into green here. As he'll self ditto with the green 2.
And he might have wanted to get rid of the blues immediately, and then maybe just that color swap to green might have been the play for Acosta here. That could be something to think about. But here is a +2 that might throw a wrench in his plans here. Acosta with 8 to Yepez's 5.
Ends on the green 8, Chomik.
They struggle with those
return's gonna
8s.
be here. Yeah, we were talking about the experience level and everything, just how narrow it is here in D1. You could go back to just yesterday, where in our 2 streamed games we ended up having 2 individuals, Mac Johnson and Verigold, who were number 1, number 2 seed in their respective divisions. They ended up having a bye in the round of 64. It was their first game played in T5, and both got eliminated here from Apocalyptic August, just like that, by individuals that were seated underneath them. The experience level differences, there's not a whole lot in it. Everybody, that's why they're in D1. Everybody up here knows exactly what they need to do on the offensive side, on the defensive side. They know how to fade, they know how to give different reads. You cannot take anybody for granted, regardless of what their seed number looks like, and into a matchup.
I mean, it took me I don't know how long to finally win like some series again. So I mean, again, trying to get in the swing of things, right? It's sometimes you just need some good, all it takes is one series for someone maybe lower, rankings wise to finally get some momentum to swing back. And how about a triple play here? But Yepez says few, so this is a sigh of relief, though. I think he wanted the Blues again. So
Yeah.
let's see. Where is he at? He's sitting at 4 cards, though. Is this a run to the end?
Yes,
Yes,
it
it is. And
is.
that will do it. That was the call that Yepez needed. It's just Acosta chose the wrong color, and it all came down to some action card usage with all those skips. Look at that.
Trip skip.
3 skips, trip skip, and then a yellow one. Brilliant play from Yepez, but a very long one too, though. I figure I might as well ask Acosta, what was the mindset though with a game as long as this though? How was your how did you deal with all, the sheer longitude or really the sheer duration of this whole game, despite coming up short though? And was there anything you felt you could have done different, maybe besides those maybe not going to blue at the end, or is that just all you maybe had in the arsenal left? Ain't that fun? And what was the the color changes too though? And you had the wilds and then you swapped over. Was it just because you're running out of colors left, or were you trying to maybe think of something a little bit different to maybe surprise your pads here?
And it's interesting too. This is the second of 3 games where we ended up having trip skips involved in the run to the finish. We had that back in the first game there. It was preempted with the +4 into the trip skips and ending out with a number for Acosta. But second game where we end up having the trip skip come into play in that final game winning run.
Yeah, quite a game. Oh man, what a game that was. What a
Wow.
crazy game 3. Long game, but really comes to show the endurance on both players though.
And
Again,
the patience.
the patience, the perseverance, absolutely nuts on both ends. Despite who was going to come as the victor out of that one though.
Yepez
But
says he
it
wouldn't
does
recommend it, that type of a
I
game to
wouldn't
anybody.
I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. I really wouldn't. Man, it's crazy. And Acosta still has that power play though. But Yepez, a lot of composure here. Again, both of them did. Again, I can't really say much about the color change because they both done a good job. But it just seemed like though Yepez always seemed to know once he saw Acosta just get isolated in certain colors though, it gave him a little bit more of the momentum, to sway into his favor a little bit more in this game, in contrast to that of Costa's, though. But even so, Costa gave him a real darn good fight, though. Why else did this game drag on for more than 30 minutes in the first place?
I mean, you talk about the color swap, and it's pretty down the middle. 24 color switches for Yepez, 23 for Acosta. And something that's interesting to note as well, I was kind of looking at the ammo that these guys have played, and I go back to yesterday when Gone was able to defeat Varigold. It was the +2s that were really a deciding factor in all of that. And right now, Acosta has had 6 +2s to Yepez's 2. Now, I know we're very early on in this series, but a 2-1 advantage here for Yepez, and he's been on the receiving end of a lot more +2s than he's been able to deliver. So interesting how the trend from yesterday isn't quite matching up to the trend of today, which makes you wonder, are the +2s being played maybe just a little too early if you're Acosta?
He did say that what he could have done different would be playing my +2 on my double reverse and possibly avoiding the triple skip ender. But overall, he felt pretty good.
All right, well, Zhao's got us already geared up to find out what Acosta's going to call here for his second homestand. A lengthy third game sees Yepez go up 2-1. He'd love to get to the brink of match point. Acosta would love to draw this back even 2-2. Still has his power play available. We saw Yepez use his back in the second game. And we're going to go still double digits, but the lowest double digits we can, we're going to 10.
Wonder when we're gonna get that full send though, is the real question.
Yeah.
Might be near the end, maybe near
keep it
that
in their
match
hip
point
pocket,
realm.
I think.
Yeah. 30 minutes, I hear.
Joe says 30 seconds, and Acosta's like, oh, 30 minutes?
Had to have a real good freaking draw. Bro, I gotta go walk my dog.
Well,
All
it's
right,
going to be
starting
the
off with a
card that
yellow
gave
8.
us a lot of problems back in that third
Yeah.
game. It sent us into not one, but two draw cities.
But two
it's
draw
that pesky
cities.
yellow 8.
Wasn't so magical for them, Seth.
No, it
It's
was
not so magical for them at all.
So 10 cards start. Opportunity for some ammunition, but definitely going to have to rely, one would assume, on number efficiency in the early portion of this game. As immediate draw off the bat there for Acosta. So that's one of two things. Either one, he's completely iced out of yellow, which with 10 cards, that's incredible. Or he's maybe got some ammo cards in yellow and he doesn't want to play them this early.
Yeah, it might be the case though. I think you just want to get it early and maybe literally no answer for yellow, surprisingly, if it's off the bat that early though. But you never know. Sometimes you just have, again, I hate saying the word cruddy, but I mean that's the truth. Sometimes you just don't have a great draw off the bat though.
Smart play there from Yepez. The drip, yellow 0, tough to be able to swap off of, so might force Acosta to have to draw back again here, unless he's able to find a late switch, or maybe top deck to yellow.
Let's see here. Let's see.
Acosta typing, so it may not be a draw.
Maybe double play?
Yeah, this could be. Okay, so
No
there you
way.
go. Yellow
Yep.
skip. Okay, so I'm going to assume, I could be wrong, but I'm going to assume that yellow 5 was top decked. So now he had that yellow ammo card with the skip. He's able to play it with a connector to cap it off.
Yeah, that's what I think that was going to be the case. And let's see if will Yepez change the color though? That's another thing. Very aggressive with the color changes though, so I don't know if Yepez will change the color, roll with the yellows though. But
yeah, I was gonna say I don't know if you do swap the color, because that could be an indicator right there. That was the only
maybe
yellows
Acosta's
he had,
running
icing out
dry
early. Yeah.
Drought and yellow, yeah.
See what Yepez does here.
Taking his time, having to think this through. Once again.
I mean, with playing the 0 sugar yellow, I mean, as I said, that could have been an play to make sure that there couldn't be a color swap, but could also have been an indicator of maybe that's his last yellow as well. A lot of times we'll end up seeing when you're out of a color and you have a yellow left, that's usually, or have a 0 left, that's usually the last card you play in said colors. Let's see, does he have a yellow to be able to use?
Timeout.
Takes a timeout here. Okay.
Okay, needs a 10-minute. Okay, so he's probably got to step out, probably family or other stuff. So that's fine.
Something came up.
Yeah.
Okay, not a problem.
You know, this screams a cinematic game if we have to wait 10 minutes for this man. No, don't worry about it. I still can't believe we had a 35-minute game, though, but I really shouldn't be surprised because, again, we expect games like these between, we know Yepez is a lot slower paced. Acosta's very similar in nature, though. What is it? What would you say? Like unstoppable force versus what? Immovable object kind of vibe to it, even though right now Yepez is leading the series 2-1. Like, they start off fast, but after that, they start getting themselves into a rhythm. Could this be? Well, this will be a longer game though, just because of the 10-minute break though. So,
I'm not sure if I believe Zhao is also running the scoreboard. I don't know if we pause the game timer here until play resumes, or if we let the time run. I'm not sure what the.
Not sure. I mean, worst case is we just subtract like 10 minutes, and then,
yeah, that's a good point.
I mean, I know the bot won't do that, but in our heads we will do that.
Yeah.
So.
This this could be a blessing in disguise for both individuals as well. We don't know what's going on, obviously, on Yepez's side, but this is an opportunity. This is like a 10-minute break for Acosta to be able to maybe
Just
step
basic
back.
stuff.
Yeah, just
Use the
basic
restroom and all
stuff,
that.
all that,
Okay.
and you end up going through that endurance game that we just had. This is a nice little respite, a nice little opportunity to kick back, get yourself mentally focused again, have a little bit of a mental break rather than immediately going back into the fray here in game 4.
Oh yeah, for sure. Just a little bathroom break. Maybe have to drink some water or something. Maybe get something to eat for a little bit for a quick 10-minute bite, right? You gotta
Usually
do what
that's
you
like
gotta do
biting
to
into
kind
a
of
drumstick.
refresh and hydrate. Yeah, nice, nice. I got the water on me. I had my protein already. So I mean, like I said, I was gonna work out today, but then that didn't that didn't happen. That won't happen. That'll be tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. Tomorrow's supposed to be a rest day, but yeah, we're just gotta be patient, with things like this. Life happens for a reason, though. But this has been a great series so far, though. I mean, the last one we commentated was not that long. Very fast paced from both sides yesterday. This is a complete foil, overall.
Yeah, I think somebody said yesterday's was the quickest game that I've streamed. I think they could be correct. I think it was. I think somebody actually said, and I think they're right too. I think they said that there was actually more commentary time than there was gameplay time, and I would not argue with that. I think that that is exactly correct. As that series
Yeah,
absolutely
the
flew
pre
by.
the pre-show.
Yeah.
Most of probably the pre-show of anything in the actual game. So that's just how it is. Some people just play super fast.
Michelle says, as the ref of that game, he can confirm
Can
that that was
confirm.
indeed, yeah.
I guess the trend of me having long games is back again.
I guess so. Yeah, when I looked at the pre notes and they said expect a lengthy game, I was surprised they didn't put a little asterisk on there too and said, oh yeah, DJ's broadcasting, so that's why it's also going to be a lengthy one.
Yeah, maybe I think I've had like maybe one or two games where it was short, but most of the time they usually drag pretty good, like a good hour plus. I think usually it's like what is a pretty healthy length. I'd say is a long game.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So for those that are tuned in, we're currently in just a little bit of what we'll call this halftime show, since we're about halfway through this series. If we do indeed go into Game 7, Yepez having to step away for just a little bit. So we'll bring you up to speed on what's going down here in this game and what's going to be coming up here in the future. We're in the nuclear region. Winner of this matchup is going to eventually be taking on the winner of Monkey versus Lara. That game will be taking place on Sunday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. They will then advance and face off against each other in the Swarm 16. And we've got time for this little bit of a break because our next game overall, isn't until 8 o'clock here tonight in the Bunker region when Lane Sanders will be taking on Yoshi. And then 10 o'clock late night action in the Tunnel region as G-Man, former tournament winner, will be taking on 10 seed Christian Tago. Those two games will be streamed later on tonight as well, so be sure to tune in for those. Kind of looking at this situation here, DJ, obviously Yepez has got the 2-1 advantage, but he has used the power play. Between these two, it was a 4 versus 5 seed coming into this one here in the nuclear region. It has seemed pretty down the middle. It's been very difficult to pick out an individual that has had the momentum swing on their side.
Oh, it really has been though, because Acosta played really well that first game, and both of them always seem to get again close and close to the end. But it's just comes down to like a defensive +4 or a defensive action card, mostly usually a +4 in this case, to stall the run out. It just denies those runs here and there, and it's kind of like a normal mechanic when it comes to games like these, like in Uno, is that you have to play defensively just to stop the game and keep it running. And both have done a good job doing said things. It's just a matter of who gets beat to the punch first, or maybe hindsight's 2020 for sometimes the action card usage, like in this recent game 3, right? Acosta said he could have maybe used those +2s a little bit differently, right? And that could have maybe prevented Yepez, to take that game 3 win. Little things like that can make the difference in shifting the trajectory of the momentum. And right now, it does swing in Yepez's favor despite having to take the 10-minute timeout. Still should be a very fun game for once that continues on, though, more or less.
It's interesting too because we prefaced it before the game even started. These guys faced off against each other back in May of 2023, and when we asked those pregame questions, Yepez said, "If this was back in 2023, it'd be a cakewalk. I probably would very easily be able to put Acosta away." We've now seen in the span of those 2 years what Acosta's been able to acquire in terms of experience, in terms of his gameplay. We saw him take Yepez to the limit there in an over half-hour game. Yepez is realizing now that this is an entirely different Hasim Acosta than what he faced off against back in 2023.
And the thing is to make note of is way back in 2023, we didn't have this bot too, from what my recollection is.
True.
This is a whole different bot. So the gameplay is a lot different because back then you had when you put the table, everybody could see the table. But now when you click on the table, you can view it your own self. You don't necessarily the opponent doesn't have to see it in public. Well, they can, but you get where I'm going at here, right? It's not for the general view. You can still view it to your own liking so that, they're aware that, oh well, maybe he's scheming something right now. It's weird to describe though, but there's a little bit more privacy with using the table in contrast to that of the old bot.
Yeah. I mean, to your point, I can't state to what the bot was like back in 2023, but even the bot we've got now is different from what we had back in the early stages of 2024. And as you mentioned, a lot of the features now that allow you to be able to kind of keep things a little more private on what you've got. You mentioned about being able to view the table. It used to be that the ref would have to put out Uno table, or the player would have to put out Uno table, and everybody was able to see who had what for the amount of cards left. You've also got the card history available to you now. That has
Yep.
been a huge feature, especially when we get into these really, really lengthy games and we start to whittle down and be down very close to a potential reshuffle. That's been a huge asset for these players. And then you also consider as well, we've seen a bunch of it here today, we'll continue to see it, the chaining of the cards as well. It used to be you were playing one card at a time, one card at a time, one card at a time. I think there was one point where you were able to chain together 2 cards. Now you can chain together 3 and 4 card runs, which makes things really difficult for the person on the other side. Usually you only are able to use a power play to be able to make sure that that run doesn't take place, but you don't know when that run can strike because of the ability to be able to chain cards together.
Precisely. And it's just the other thing also now with this new bot is the power play, right? Back then, you literally just had to type it, but the bot wouldn't detect it. It's just like kind of like an honor system,
Yes.
basically. So now, the power play is more like, oh, well, crud, I can't do much after that. If you're the opponent and you get to use it, you can only do so much. You're kind of like a sitting duck out there unless they screw up like the Uno play, That's the only other reason. And again, that's very rare for people to screw it up though, but it can happen.
And the adaptation as well of the players going from bot to bot to bot has been good as well. There's been some mistakes here and there. There's been where maybe you forget to call out that Uno. There may be a little type situation where you put an extra space or you don't put a space where there should have been. But overall, the adaptation of adjusting from one bot to another, where there was a difference in the commands that you had to put in from one bot to the one that we currently have. The transition has been pretty fluent on all fronts here, even include in players that advanced from D2 up into the rookie class here of D1. They've made some tremendous headway. Background has made a lot of headway here in D1. Gone, we saw just yesterday, be able to take down a 1 seed in his region as he advances into the round of 16. The evolution that we talk about also goes to the transitioning from one bot where we ran it for several months. I believe we ran it at least a year. Now you got an entirely different thing that you got to learn, and the learning process, while it was there and it took a bit, it didn't take nearly as long as I think that a lot of people were expecting.
Yeah, and for sure, Sorry about that.
No, you're good. So again, we're just waiting out here. We should be pretty close to Yepez returning, as had about 10 minutes he said he needed, and I think we're about 12 minutes since then, so we should have him returning momentarily to resume this fourth game of this best of 7 series. Yepez right now with a 2-1 advantage. Now let's just double check here in on the table, see where we're currently at. Knotted at 9 cards each, currently running in yellow. Where we started out in yellow, we've only played about 5 cards, it looks like, at this point in time. And when Yepez returns, he will have the next play, where we're going to be looking to see if he does play yellow. Is Acosta iced out in that color? The indicator seems to be that is the case. We'll have to see if indeed Yepez is able to, very early on in this game, find a color where he's able to ice Acosta out, or can Acosta, does he have yellow, or can he find some number efficiency with a light switch, which these two have been very aggressive with, a combined total of 47 light switches here in the first 3 games. We'll once again just take a look at the upcoming schedule here tonight, as it'll be late night action at 8 o'clock in the bunker region. Lane Sanders taking on Yoshi. 10 o'clock, it's going to be the tunnel region. G-Man taking on Christian Tago. Both those games going to be streamed here on the MRE Uno YouTube channel as we continue on the Toxic 32 round of Apocalyptic August here in T5 of the 2025 MRE Uno tournament.
Those should be some good matchups there. Sorry, I had to step off for a little bit there. The call from my mom there, but yeah, those matchups coming up later today should be pretty good ones. I would hope. Hopefully, they're a lot close. They're pretty close. I don't know what your expectations are, Seth, coming in for those, but hoping those are bangers.
Yeah, I think they're definitely going to be very close. I mean, I don't know why, but I end up looking at the pre-match stats. I look at what we have in terms of what individuals have been able to do here in the past in these round of 32s, whether it be the round of 64, what have you. Every single time, I don't know why it is, but every single time I come into these matchups, I'm fully expecting to see it go into a best of 7, to go to that game 7. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, but always the pre-game sense is we're going to go the distance.
It's just some games just scream that energy, though. It's just a gut feeling to have. Honestly, you know, with matchups like those, you're like, oh man, this, like you said, this could be just an absolute hood classic. This one also screams that with just the sheer length, the
Yes.
mental games that you have to play. It's just a circle of emotions, more or less. So, I mean, once Yepez comes back, though, this should heat up once again. They're going to be locked and loaded here.
Michelle says, fun fact, his favorite stat is the color switches. He always aims to be the one with the most switches at the end of a
Good
series.
flex.
So how about that? Yeah, a little personal goal right there.
Could bite you, though, if you do it too much.
It could.
I learned that the hard way.
I'll readily admit this because I think I've stated it as well during my games. I was not really that much of a fan of the light switches. My plan A was to, get one color gone, get another color gone, get another color gone. Don't fool around with the light switching and everything. And more times than not, I would find myself boxed in, iced out, and in the latter portion of T4 here into T5, I've adapted more of the aggressive color swapping, and not to say that the success rate has gone up exponentially, but it does actually offer a little bit more freedom in the fact that not only if you've got the right hand, you can find a path back to those colors after you fade off of them, but you're also not giving the other side a lot of reads, and maybe they open the door to go back to that color for you.
Oh, precisely. It'll really depend, though. Like, it does depend on what you've got. And that's how you adjust, whether you go for the aggressive color swaps or maybe you go for the let's get rid of this color first type movement. It really will depend on how confident you feel in your cards. It's like Yu-Gi-Oh, right? You gotta
Yeah.
believe in the cards. The heart of the cards,
I believe more in Joe Hendry than the heart of the cards, but, same thing.
Just make sure you don't you gotta have an Exodia card, Got an
Yes,
Egyptian
indeed.
god card. Yepez is back.
He is back.
All
So
right,
hopefully
we
we
should be
entertained
ready.
everybody enough. We're ready to get the action back on here. All right, let's see. Did Acosta have any yellow to be able to play here? Or with this playing of the yellow 3, will it have to be a light switch? Or will Acosta have to draw back? We will be shaving the... Looks like it was a total of... What was that? 17 minutes. We'll have to shave about 17 minutes.
He said about
Off
15.
of
Zhao said
15
about
minutes? Okay.
15-ish.
Yep,
Yeah.
Zhao's the ref. He'll know exactly where. So we'll shave that 15 minutes off of the game time. And there it is. There's the light switch. So that says to me, Acosta's out of yellow. He needed the bailout with a number efficiency, and he was able to find it.
Yeah, it looks like they're just going to roll with the greens at the moment here. Yepez will roll with a green 4. Yeah, like you said, Seth, could be already stalled out. Could be stopped at the yellow off the bat, though. With it being so fast, though, it's the beginning of this game, this game 4, essentially. Almost at game 3, because that's how long game 3 was in the first place. But here we go. Double play here. Green reverse, followed by green 9 after Yepez's green 4.
Takes the possession here with that double play. Yepez going to draw it back even at 6-6, but the possession by 1 would be in favor of Acosta right now. Yepez with his own card right there as well, that green 7.
Very nice card to have.
Yeah. It was interesting. I was, if we needed another talking point there as we were waiting for the return of Yepez, I got a little beef with whoever ended up putting together these names for these particular months. And this is all in fun. This is not me actually going after them, but come on, man. You've got Apocalyptic August. You could have had Apocalyptic April, which would have been so much easier, up and up. And then you have Automotive April. You could have had Automotive August.
Automotive August.
It rolls off the tongue so much easier. Come on. My poor brain just goes into a glitch every time I try and say Apocalyptic August.
I'll take a look at this. Some action card usage here. Acosta did a wild +4 to a blue. Yepez does roll with the blue, though. Went with some double reverses back to green. And with a green 6 in tow.
So now, that could be an indicator now. Using that +4 over to blue, that's 2-card hand if you're Acosta.
Blue wild.
Yeah. Brings it back to blue once again. After that reverse meta, brings it over to green. Yeah, I think right now you're in a blue-red situation if you're Acosta here, utilizing these ammo cards to get over there.
Gotta think defense here if you're Yepez.
Yes. Oh, he can't do anything. Runs with the blue 7. Could this be a finish here? Getting it over to blue, or does he have that one outlying card?
Nope.
Okay, he gets
just numbers right now.
Gets the blue
I think he
1.
maybe has 2 left that could be a home run to the end.
I almost wonder if you don't have the ammo card, if you're left with 2 blue cards, or if you're maybe left with a blue card and you have that same number in... Never mind.
+4.
I'm not even going to speculate now because that negates anything that I was going to say.
Completely canceled everything out.
And he brings
back
it back
to the drawing board for Acosta here.
He finds his way back to green as well. So we'll see if there were any greens on the return, or does Yepez luck out not only with giving 4 freshies, but also forces Acosta to draw back here on this turn.
We'll have to find out here.
Oh, he finds
with
a path back to blue.
6. Wow.
Still finds a way back to blue with the blue 6M, and Yepez
and he has
is
to draw.
iced out. Acosta going to be able to continue to run. Yepez going to be looking
as
for
that
the number
card position
efficiency.
lead now. This should tie it up though if Yepez has an answer. Green
Oh,
wild.
he found an answer.
Does Acosta have to draw here?
More than likely will, unless it flushes out a...
Does not.
No, he did have green. That's...
Well, Acosta did swap to blue,
from...
so Yepez thought that Acosta
Oh.
didn't have any green.
Yep.
But Acosta
Faded.
read it, had the green 5. And it's just gonna be numbers game here. Well, how about that for a color change here? Red 3.
Into 3. Yeah, good read by you there. Yeah, he ended up fading it back to blue, but would have probably gotten that green on
Both
the
at 2
+4.
cards left here, Seth. Both of them sitting at 2 cards. Acosta not using the power play here. Wondering if he's saving it, or actually doesn't have an answer just
Is this
yet.
a Pandora's box? Yeah, we hadn't been in red the whole game. This is our first time going into it.
Oh yeah, I haven't noticed. That's a good observation there.
Wow, took us that long to get to red.
Here we go.
He's a
Color
check.
change over. This is a check here.
Yepez
Nothing
has to
from
draw.
Yepez.
This could be game.
Could this be game? No!
No, it's not. What in the world did he have?
What is happening?
Wow.
It's just in the yellow 8 proves to be the issue. Just like in game 3, Seth. How crazy is that?
Man, I wonder. Was it Yepez
What are
that
the
did
odds?
the swap off of blue?
He did.
Into
He
green?
did the
So it
same
might have been
thing.
blue.
Yepez did it the
Blue, I'm not
previous
sure.
game.
Josh
He
is
did it
not again. Oh, it's the yellow 8. It's the
That's
yellow
what I'm
8
saying.
again. Gosh. Oh, every time.
Golden 8 is not helping either player out here.
Here's the good news, at least. The other yellow 8 was the very first card, so we're not going to go into 2 draw cities with yellow 8. We know that.
Can you imagine if the game-winning move ended on a yellow 8?
Oh my gosh.
Whoa, look at that! Oh
Was
my
that a top?
goodness.
That had to be a top deck.
That had to have been a top deck.
Had to be a top deck.
Okay, I might as well ask the question. Was that a top deck, Acosta? Was that... that had... There's no other way, because I'm feeling that had to have been a top deck. He's like, I think that's a yes.
We got Yepez in our VC here as well. I'm assuming you can hear me, so I can ask your question verbally. Okay. Man, I mean, what do we say about that game? There. I mean, it kind of looked like you were able to get the read that he had 2-color hand there. You had him iced out. You ended up bringing that swap back over there into green, able to run down the cards down there to 2. Did you just need that ammo card, or did you need a connector card? What was the mitigating factor there for you to be able to take this series 3-1? He needed the connector. Okay.
All she wrote in that one. That's crazy to have a top deck draw with a wild +4.
That's nuts.
It can happen. It happens. But when it does, it is. And with a card count that low near the end, that is absolutely bonkers.
Well, what were we at? At the end
of the game, it's a great feeling to have, though.
We still had 70 cards still left in the deck. We had 2 of the +4s already played. So the odds were not really in favor in what would that have been? 74 cards left on that draw. It's not in favor of you being able to draw one of those 2 +4s. That is incredible luck.
I'm wondering now, I should ask Acosta this too, was, let me look back here real fast, because it was at blue at one point. Yeah, because Yepez went to green, then you swapped at blue. Were you just trying to get rid of the blues off the bat like that, and then the green just ended up landing once Yepez used that wild, Acosta? Like, was that just some trickery you're trying to pull, or were you just trying to get rid of the blues and then just hope maybe it went back to green at some point?
Oh. Yeah, that is a tough break there for Yepez. He could have done the green +2, green skip into the green 3, and then if that swap had been from the green 3 into the red 3, he could have ended up winning it. The only thing that I would say there in that situation for Yepez is there's no guarantee that based off of whatever Acosta would have gotten on the +2 that he would have done the light switch over into red. May have ended up getting a green there on the draw and continue to run in green.
Just being aggressive had a red 9 and a yellow 8 that I played. Yeah, because I was curious about that because he did swap. It intrigued me though when he went from the blue, just the green to the blue here. That really stumped me for a little bit. I'm like, oh wow, what a play though. Because then he had some greens to answer it, and luckily had a blue with it as well. Just a lot of high IQ playing here.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Top deck
Definitely high.
smacked me. Yeah,
It
it worked out though. It worked out.
did. All right. We're knotted up 2-2. We go back to home for Yepez. As Zhao points out, no 14, no 12. We'll head into game number 5. 15-minute wait there for an incredible finish to game number 4. We're going for, yeah, as Yepez says, either lucky or unlucky number 13. I guess it depends on which side you're on, the winning or the losing side here of this rubber match of a best of 5. We'll see who gets the momentum, who gets to match point here going into game 6. And for a 50-second game.
There's something about this that does scream a Game 7 series, Seth.
Oh, yeah.
It just does.
So we had our first 3 games start in green. Next 2 games in yellow. Second time we start with an action card. We had a green skip back at the start of game 3. Yellow reverse to kick off game number 5. We saw in game 3, Acosta did play off of the action card. We'll see if Yepez plays off of this reverse, or does he cap it off? Also, interesting point of note, you talked about this, DJ. With a 13 card start here, full send is available on Acosta's final homestand. Maybe, depending on circumstances, could be available on Yepez's final homestand as well.
Oh, for sure. I think they're going to use it for the very end once it gets to the game point, essentially.
So Yepez
Sticking with 2 colors, though.
Yeah, Yepez
Sticking
plays
with 2
off
colors.
of it, brings it to blue, and then Acosta brings it right back to the starting color of yellow.
There's our third color here.
Whoa.
Red Wild.
So indicator right there, maybe that Yepez was completely out of yellow from the start, as he'll have to use a wild pretty early out of the gate to bring it over to red.
Just rolls along with it. Goes with the flow.
I'm not sure, too. I don't know if it's out of necessity or not, but you have a blue reverse and you have a red wild already being played here by Yepez. So the question is he being forced to use those ammo or action cards there to be able to
Drawing at
not
yellow.
have to draw back, which now he does, or does he maybe have some other action cards that he's saving?
He did swap out of the yellow for a wild red, though, and he did just draw at this yellow 2, though. Is it early to assume he might be isolated at yellow early on? It might be a little too early to think. Let's see if he can respond back, maybe with a color change here. I'm a feeling he's got a yellow. No, he's got a yellow 0 though. Could be top deck here.
Top deck, probably. Yep.
Yeah.
Into the drip 0 sugar in yellow. Acosta,
Continuing
though,
to roll. He had both yellow 5s.
Self ditto. Yep.
Here we go. Color change there.
So Yepez.
Red 5 back to red where he had that wild placed on earlier. So he's back to the color of his desired note as of right now.
DJ for that path?
We haven't really seen any blue yet, Seth. So I'm waiting for the floodgates. Well, we did have a blue earlier, actually. Excuse me. So, correct me there. But
you are correct.
We haven't had a lot of blue, basically. So,
and that was the color that Yepez wanted to get to. He utilized the double play off the reverse to get there before getting iced out in the yellow. So you gotta think he's gonna try and call back to blue at some point.
We'll just have to wait and see here. Acosta did do a double play earlier, though. +2 added with a red 9. Yepez just going to roll with it, but Acosta draws.
Might have been his last 2 cards there. Realizing he was going to draw back. Wanted to at least have a bit of the
Here's the blue.
There. Yep. Finally finds his way back to blue. That bails out Acosta as well.
It does indeed. Goes up 2 to add a blue 8.
with that play. Now down to 8. Or make that 6 rather. Yepez now down to 7. Pretty close between these two here. This could be a very crucial win as
Here's one with the
Acosta
other
brings
wild.
it to green. Have we been in green yet? No. This is our first venture, and we get there via a wild.
Double play, though. Reverse, followed by a green 9 on Yepez's part. Acosta, what will he do? What will you do here if you're Acosta? They're sitting down near that territory here for a run, perhaps. Yepez sitting at 5 to Acosta's 4. But Acosta literally just playing a green 4, funny enough.
Yepez might be loading up here.
I think this is a loadout. This is definitely seeming
be.
like a run.
Question is,
There's
it
no
a
other
finish?
way.
Oh, it's definitely a finish.
Definitely is.
Wow, got the call.
And he got the call in time too.
Yes, he did. That would have been
very
close.
fast.
Wow.
What a play.
So,
I don't think Acosta could have done much there, I felt. Because it's like, yeah, I don't think he could have done much there.
One of the things there that I'm noticing, if I'm looking at this correctly, let me just double check. We had Yepez fade off of yellow immediately into blue. He then used a red wild off of yellow to go to red. All the indicators was that he was iced out of yellow, but we see in this final run to the finish that yellow +2s. So Yepez, my question is, how long were you holding on to that yellow +2, or was that something that you ended up getting on any of those drawbacks? Because if you were holding that at the very beginning and we had 2 fades off of yellow, where to me it looked like you were iced out in that color, that we talk about the patience game, DJ. That is tremendous patience, because knee-jerk reaction would be when we start getting down there close to the end, I maybe need to use this +2 a little defensively.
Oh, for sure. Oh, for sure. I don't think really Acosta, like I said, I don't think Acosta really could have done anything different in this one. Didn't have yellows.
Didn't have yellows. Okay, so
wow.
must have gotten that +2 on one of
That's
those
probably off the
drawbacks
draw.
there. Yep.
Yeah.
So we talk about that top deck luck for Acosta back at the
It
end
helped
of game
out.
4. It helped here.
+2 red.
Yepez.
Helped him.
Oh, he got it off the +2.
Luck of the draw.
Yep. We talk about that
Real
return.
emphasis on that.
Where was the +4? Where was that also on the +2, or was that on the drawback? Oh, you had
it.
that
Okay,
one.
he was saving it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Smart. Was willing to use the wild, but didn't want to waste the wild +4.
No yellows. Yeah, because I think Acosta did a good job with the isolation. It's just the ammunition just again wasn't quite there at the end.
Yep.
Just got beat to the punch. I don't really have any questions for Acosta because I don't think he really could have done anything different. Maybe the +2, but I mean, again, all hindsight though, you have to kind of get a little aggressive with some ammo at times. So I think that's really the only thing maybe of note, but I think overall Acosta did as much as he could. Yeah, he said wasn't much to be done. Yeah.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say that this was a
must-win
game for Yepez, but this is definitely a game that really helps him in terms of winning it, because now you're going into Acosta's final homestand. You're at match point, and you don't have that power play. If you had the power play still, I think you wouldn't be quite as worried if you were down 3-2 going into this next game, but not having that power play, I think being up 1 game on Acosta, it gives him maybe a little bit more freedom in how aggressive or defensive he wants to play here in this upcoming 6th game.
It does put the pressure down on Acosta, though, with him being down a set now. If you get close to that game, that moment in game 6, do you use that power play?
I think you do. I think you do.
Because I feel you have to.
You can't.
It feels like an obligation.
Yeah. If you've got the run and you need that one connecting card, I think you absolutely have to use the power play here. I know you'd love to be able to take it into a game 7, have that advantage, but hey, if Yepez is able to find the victory here and be able to take this series 4-2, that power play is null and void. You don't get to use it. So I think you have to. I think you're right. You're obligated to use it at this point if you have a path where it can be utilized.
Yeah, because if it was the other way around, let's say Acosta was 3-2, then yeah, it would put Yepez in a very vulnerable spot because Acosta could just use that power play at the very end, just to ice it, just to ice the series.
Yepez is
Let's
calling
see
his
here.
shot here. He's saying full send for the final game if we go into that. I'm surprised that Acosta didn't go with the full send here. He'll instead, on his final homestand, go with 11.
Confidence. Wants to get to that game 7.
We'll see here.
I think they both want to. If they get to game 7, I think both of them expect the full send. I think there's no other way you want to end it.
For Acosta, he is playing for his Super League life. A win in this series, he's on the
wild
spot.
What?
Wow.
Holy.
We doing the culture? We doing the culture? Let's see. We doing the culture. See if we're doing the culture. I was part of this in my series with Lara back in the round of 64. My first time that I got to do a Uno culture with a wild start. Let's see if they do it here.
That's nuts. What a way to start.
Yeah. Yepez asking, does he know what the culture is?
Nah.
The culture is you draw back at least the first one. First play, it's a drawback on both sides.
Well, real question is, does he honor it or not?
We'll see.
You don't have to. Not an obligation.
I mean, as we said, he's gonna play. He's gonna play off of it there.
He's gonna play.
But I mean, as we said, Acosta, he's playing for his Super League life right now. If he ends up winning this, you're gonna pay for this. If he ends up winning this series, then he keeps his hopes alive on the bubble spot of Super League. If he loses the series, he's eliminated from Super League. For Yepez, it's the complete opposite. A win, he almost secures himself a spot in Super League. A loss, he's down on the bubble spot. It's the final homestand here for Acosta. We'll see what he's able to do. He's still got that power play available as well.
Basically, if Acosta wins, both of them will be in the bubble. Essentially, is what I'm seeing.
Yes, yeah, pretty much.
Both will be bubble buddies.
Running green to start this one off. Second lowest card start that we've had so far in this one with 11. And let me double check on that 10 card start. Was that oh no, it wasn't. I thought that was the one
Trips
where
play.
I thought the 10 card start was the one we had go over a half hour. That was the one that was about roughly 15 minutes in length. Yepez down with a 0 sugar there in green. Acosta at 6.
Having to draw, though. Oh, uh-oh.
That trips play, all he had in green. Now Yepez.
Did that bite him?
Yep.
It looked like it already did with the draw, though. Let's see. Does he have at least a number to follow through? To maybe even do a color change?
That's what Yepez has to avoid.
He does.
He finds the tapir.
It's just like yesterday. I'm seeing the number 4 be the main number for a color change. I swear it's just like yesterday's game I commentated.
And a little ditto play. Some more 4s there for you. Double tapir.
4 score, right?
Yes. And what seems like 7 hours ago, we started this series.
4 score and 2 hours into the past.
Yes. It's okay. We don't
Just
have our
roll
next game until 8 o'clock tonight.
Currently walking my dog.
There you go. Multitasking. Man, I can't even type out a question and talk at the same time, so that's
exactly
impressive.
Same. Double play here, skip, followed by red 5. Hey, that's me. Red 8, though, just going to roll with the numbers from Acosta's point of view. But a draw from Yepez here.
Finds an ice out in red on the background.
And a red 8.
It's been barking for 15 minutes. Could be worse. Minutes. Yesterday, during one of our streams, my dogs were barking the entire stream, so...
Luckily, I didn't hear that in the background yesterday. I was surprised I didn't hear that. Here we go.
My microphone didn't pick it up on Discord, but it definitely picked it up on OBS.
I figured. Wild +4 here. A swap over to yellow. Double play from Acosta, though,
I like
here.
this, because with 4 cards
I do
left,
like it, too.
And
he's got 2 cards left.
You're taking that away.
Issue is, though, +4. You're giving 4 newbies.
Yep.
Does Yepez have at least like a +2?
Or does he find his way back to red?
Something to stop it. Just triple play.
Wraps
triple
it
play
back to
here.
blue.
Back to blue though. I don't mind this, but let's
Well,
just
we'll
see.
see if
Does
there's if
Acosta
there's
have an
another
answer?
wild +4 though. Does he have another wild +4 in reserve? He played that first one there to get it over to yellow. Let's see. This is for potentially to take the series.
Oh, we'll see.
Yeah, there it
Yeah,
is.
that was
He
it.
had
There it
the other
is.
one in reserve.
I don't know if anything Yepez could have done differently.
No, I don't
It's
think so.
I don't really have much because I think were those +4s. I would assume were those just off the start of the draw, Acosta. I think that's really all I've got to ask because I mean that game kind of spoke for itself.
There
It
was
felt like.
I don't think he got hit with any +2s. No, he didn't get hit with any +2s.
Nope.
So
I think it's just off the draw. Was it off the draw there?
I mean that's a monster hand if it was off
It
the
really
draw.
was. It really is.
And now he goes into this game 7 with the power play still available. That could be a difference
Huge.
maker.
That's huge.
Well, we already know. We already know. We don't even have to ask. We already know Yepez has called his shot. What we're doing here in Game 7. Yepez, I'll just
Yep.
ask you. I mean, obviously, we're waiting to see from Acosta if he had those 2+4s off the start. But even if he didn't, even if he got one of them on one of those drawbacks, it just kind of looked like a situation pretty lopsided in ammunition there. And anything that you had, any +2s or something that you could have utilized to be able to maybe draw this out a little bit further, or was it just absolutely dry in terms of ammunition? Well, we said it. It had all the feeling of a Game 7 series.
Had them off the jump. That's all she wrote.
There's
Yeah.
nothing you can do in that situation if you're
Were you a bit
Yepez then.
worried though? I was wondering. Were you a bit worried though near the end of that? If Yepez had anything defensively to maybe stop that run to the end to finish that game 6 for you, Acosta, was that kind of lingering on in your mind at all?
It's a good point because you kind of consider his last 2 plays split ammo. If he's worried about the return on that first +4, power play could have come into play there. Chain all those 5 cards together.
And honestly, I mean, now that with it ending now though, it was a good choice. He didn't use that power play at all. Bit worried if Yepez played a yellow +2 to ruin the plan.
Okay. So he was willing to run the risk there
Running the
of
risk,
giving
yeah.
Yepez a play, give him a turn. I mean, that's got to be mental anguish choice right there. Do I use the power play to go into a Game 7 and have us equal with no power plays available? Or do I run the risk, give him a turn, maybe he's able to stop my run there, my final run to the finish, and I have to wait to go into a potential Game 7 with a power play. It worked out for him, but that's a tough choice to make.
Well, he didn't pay for the culture by doing the 7 off the bat, though, so Yepez might want to... Yepez is probably going to want to use that and come to fruition here for Game 7, maybe have him pay for it in the final game to make it truly, truly cinematic. But the issue now is he is down a power play. Acosta still has his up for grabs. That could use it at any opportune time. So Yepez still has to play really smart, and he's done a great job, though. I mean, why else are we in Game 7 right now here, Seth?
Yeah.
You couldn't write it any other way, you know? But these past 2 games, short games, though.
They have been.
Just like Game 1, it's short again. So they're picking up the pace. Is the patience running thin, or they just, again, I think they're just getting those good card hands. It just ends up being short as a result.
Well, we now know what's going to happen here in this final crucial Game 7 that has implications for both individuals on their status as in regards to Super League. Yepez called the shot before we even began game number 6. We're going full send, he said, for this final Game 7. Zhao making sure indeed that it is going to be that full send there, just in case Yepez decides to change his mind here. But if we see this thing go into full send, we're in a sense really putting our fate in that Uno bot. Because we've seen a couple of games here already, DJ, where the ammo has been rather lopsided. You got a chance here of that same type of a scenario when you go into a full send 15 card start, but we could also end up seeing the ammo be pretty evenly distributed, which will make the choices even tougher in this final game.
Gotta choose your cards wisely, though. You might have a lot of action cards, but you don't want to use them off the bat. And you don't want to get too greedy with them. Because again, anything goes here at Uno. And with this game 7 coming into play here, it's starting to ignite. Patience is going to run thin. They're going to get real aggressive, even desperate, and try and close out this series. What a game. What a litany of games we've had so far, though, overall.
Yeah.
Again, being a dead horse, though, but this has been very fun to watch on
It
both
has
ends.
been.
Just so even.
And the thing, I think a big reason for it, and we mention it all the time, no two games are alike. You have to have yourself prepared for every type of a scenario. You documented these last two games have run under 5 minutes each, but we ended up having that lengthy half-hour plus game where we went into, I believe it was 4 draw cities. You have to be prepared for those quick games, but you have to also, on the flip side, be prepared for those endurance games, and that can be difficult. Even in a best of 7, we're eventually going to get to a best of 9. We're going to get to a best of 11 here as we get further into T5. But even in a best of 7, those type of games, when you have them in succession, a rapid fire one and then an endurance one, that can be taxing because you kind of get into a groove in one, then suddenly you have to completely change it heading into the second one.
Yeah, I was actually about to ask you about like the pacing kind of thing, but you pretty much answered it for me though, because yeah, the drastic changes in pace can really throw off your game at times. Because you could probably still try and play the same way you want to play though, but if they play fast, it really could catch you by surprise though. It might not seem like it just because with the game of Uno being very simplistic, but there's always a lot of complexities when it comes to pace management too though, because that can help. You compose yourself, you plan better, you don't think irrationally, right? You don't get too gung ho with the cards, essentially, right?
Yeah.
So it's just something that, you still got to kind of just play your own game, I guess is the right word for it. Still be aware of the table, but just play to your strengths and fix the weaknesses, or really just beat up the weaknesses in this
Yeah,
case.
or avoid the weaknesses if you can.
Yeah, that too.
Like a mindset very easily could be after we had that lengthy third game that went a half hour plus, is we go into game 4 and your thought process is let's get this over with as quickly as possible. Let's rapid fire where it may not be something that you're normally accustomed to. You may be one of those that, are a little bit more laid back and you're wanting to observe what your plays are going to be, but the circumstances of the previous game could change that up, and you kind of have to mentally, you got to think, okay, hold on, compose, remember what my strengths are, as you said, avoid those weaknesses, don't do something different here just because we ended up having a game take place that might screw you up just a little bit mentally going into the following one.
All right, well, Yepez left the VC. I think he's locked in for this game
Yes,
7. Can you
indeed.
blame him, though?
No.
Because you have to be full on focus. This is for the money in terms of staying in Super League. For Acosta's case, though, that must win keeps in contention, puts him on the bubble. And for Yepez, though, the likelihood is going to raise up higher. The probability rises up to the occasion, of joining the list of people in Super League here. So just security overall to try and get in Super League.
Zhao's first game 7 as a ref, and Bad Brad pretty pleased with that opening card. His own card there in the blue too is...
Wouldn't want it any other way.
Yep. Shocking. No light switch immediately. We get one off of Acosta, but we actually decided to run in blue just for at least a moment.
How about another one, a back-to-back?
Little crazy 8s here to kick off game 7.
What if they draw at the 8 again? The yellow 8 specifically.
Oh, man.
Could you imagine?
Zhao saying, give me them Skittles. It's been a while since I've seen the Skittles here. We'll see. Nope.
Yellow 3. I was going to laugh if he drew at an 8 again. What are the odds of you having to draw at a yellow 8?
Well, start making
It's a running
preparations
meme.
for the series to end at 3 o'clock then, because we'd be in for another half-hour matinee.
My goodness. Gonna roll with the numbers here. But a color swap back over.
I think we're going to see some aggressive color swapping here. Full card send.
Actually, no, this is the first green we've got, I think. So,
yeah. I think you're going to see a lot
so
of
we got a
aggressive
full-on
light
rainbow
switching here.
Be a quick drain of numbers. I'm thinking numbers, maybe a few double plays here and there, maybe with a skip and then a number, or a reverse and a number. Depends on what they have in their toolkit.
Just checking in on, at this point in time, starting off Game 7, we've got a combined total of 74 light switches. It's right down the middle. 38 for Acosta, 36 for Yepez. Both have been very strong on the light switching here in this series.
Both embody equilibrium, right? Both
Yeah.
balanced.
Oh, yeah. Thanos would be proud.
Yeah, back over. This is a swap to yellow, then to a red, and how about that to a green? The crazy, the whimsicality of these color changes, though. Strategic on both ends, though, trying to get the other guy guessing.
Yeah.
And eventually maybe have one of them run out of a certain color here.
That's what we're doing.
At some
We're
point.
searching for a chink in the armor. We're looking for that one color that's iced on the other side.
Back over to red.
A
Red
plant.
this time, red 5. They were at red not too long ago.
Oh.
But a red +2.
This is interesting. Hold on.
This is a double.
Hold on.
Oh,
Hold
double
on.
play.
You just
Gonna be
needed that
trips.
one opening. This could be it.
Oh boy. Trips
Okay.
play here.
Trips
Gives him
play.
4 cards though.
I like the
Well,
play he did there. Did you notice how he did single card +2, single card +2? The reason for that, he was trying to lull Acosta into thinking he had a run, try and draw out the defensive power play.
I was literally about to think of something like that because I don't see people often try to play little mind games like that, but it's something that hasn't been explored quite yet to try and bait them to use that power play to get them to drain it off that draw. But the only issue with that, Seth, right, is if he did a power play and he draws, and let's say Acosta had a +2 on his kit, right? It would have given Yepez 4 other cards.
Yeah.
That's the only issue I would have with that. It's a good strat, but you have to be very careful with it.
You do. You definitely do.
Because you don't want to end it on a +2 like that. Like we've seen other players do before. You'd end up paying the ultimate price for it. But luckily, there wasn't anything for that. And Acosta did not bite, essentially speaking.
That is a good point, because it would all come down to the timing, right? If he was able to get that cap off with the 7, then it would have been okay. But to your point, if the timing of Acosta doing the power play with the open +2 could very well have been detrimental. Had another +2 there in reserve.
And see, look at this. He did the double play there, and you notioned the combination here, you know, the 2 ampersands following through, but he didn't do it with the +2s earlier, right?
Yep.
So no, that's a really good observation on your end, though. But again, like I said, that risk you have to take. Yepez sitting at 5, though. Acosta with 12. Does Acosta have any action card? Well, he does have one right there. Double play. And Yepez draws.
He's iced out.
So this is a good little omen. Good little omen here. I think Acosta, if you're him, you probably want to stick to the red, but he swaps over to yellow, though.
I'm not sure
I think
about
that's risky.
This. I think
that's risky.
Too.
I think
believe
Yepez is going to bite.
He's 2 color. He's blue and yellow. This is going to bail
think
Yepez out.
He's got some yellow. He's scratching a run here. I think. Well, I don't know about it. Could be a 6-card run. You never know.
It just sometimes you just need that color swap for the connectors.
Exactly. No draws.
He draws.
Wow.
So this is okay. So
intriguing.
This could be a fade. Yepez has the
It could
possession
be.
advantage here. From what it looked like, he was iced out in green, iced out in red. So it looks like it's a 2-color yellow-blue. Maybe there's an action card in yellow he doesn't want to play here. Or maybe he's trying to indicate that he only has blue when he does have stuff in reserve here. And it seems not going to bite. He's going to say, okay, you're going to draw back. I'm going to give you 2 more.
I'll give you 2 more. Exactly. Just does a nice double play, and he draws. Could be a little draw city here for Yepez. Maybe thinking a little bit more defensively, as silly as it sounds, though.
All right.
But you never know.
Open. We're into blue.
There's a blue.
Remember, Acosta's got that power play as well. Yepez has to be careful. The drawbacks there were interesting. If he does have any type of transition card or ammo card, it's interesting he elected to draw back. If it were equal on power plays, I would say, I'd be okay with that. Finding yourself down multiple possessions here with a power play on the other side makes that interesting. So either he was completely boxed in, but if he wasn't, I'm not sure about that strategy. He'll find it back to red, though.
Could be the color that Yepez wanted. Needed that number 1, but back
Oh.
over to blue here. If Yepez has to
ISO?
draw, could it be an ISO play? I
Or
mean, it would
is-
have to be. There's no
or do
other
you
way, I
run a
would think.
+4? Does this draw out a +4?
Perhaps.
if
That's
Yepez
true.
had
That's
it?
true.
Let's see what happens here.
I feel
this could be the
got to do
play.
at least a +2 or...
This could be for the game right here if Yepez doesn't have anything. Oh, he rocked it back around.
Triple play, though. Back over to yellow.
With the double
Does Acosta
reverse.
have any, like, at least a wild or a wild +4 on him?
4 cards left. Oh,
he does swap the color to green.
finds
He has an answer for that yellow, too, though.
Now what does Yepez do? Down to 5.
Sitting at 3. They're cutting it close
Double
here.
play.
Both of them are pretty much tied up here.
Knots it up 3-3.
3-3 in the territory.
From Acosta? Does he have a
Oh.
path with that broken link? Can the power play be the link in the
Have
chain
to
he
think.
needs?
He's thinking. He's having to think on this one.
And if he doesn't have the finish, does Yepez have it?
Either way, he has a blue wild.
Brings it back to blue.
This is risky. Ooh. Does Yepez have any action cards? A blue 4.
Ooh, okay, let's see.
Not an action card, but a number card, though, so he has blue.
I mean, power play may be able to get played right here. We'll see. Does Acosta...
He's
there
using
is.
it. That
He's
might
got
be.
it.
That's it.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep. Yepez
Unless he
didn't
screws
have
up the Uno.
anything there to be able to combat. He had to just run in the blue after the initiation with the wild by Acosta. Acosta's going to keep his hopes alive for Super League. This will drop Yepez down to the bubble. As you said, they're going to be bubble buddies right now, holding their breath, waiting to see how the rest of this T5 plays out. As there it is.
Wow.
Plays the 7, calls the Uno correctly, and he'll cap it off with the blue 9. Acosta's going to be moving on. He will face the winner of Lara or Monkey. That'll be determined on Sunday night. What a battle in this one.
What a great fight to the end, though. Acosta and both of them played so brilliantly, honestly. A lot of mind games all around. The action card usage, I thought the ammunition control was pretty good. Very good overall. Again, it's just great use of the power play at the end. And honestly, I look back at Game 6, though. Acosta could have used it at the end, but he didn't. And that worked out in his favor. But then also, Yepez had he used it way back in Game 2, I believe.
It was, yeah.
So it might be one of those moments where maybe Yepez looks back, but at the same time, it's all hindsight, though, right?
It is.
You had to use it just to make sure you had that set, though. But the con is when you use a power play early, sometimes it bites you when you need it most. And then, oh wow, look at that! Look at what Yepez had at the very end. Crazy hand that could have sealed the deal.
It was that blue wild. That
blue wild
took it. Oh, well, actually, hold on.
Well, actually, I don't know if it...
Could he have won?
Because he didn't have a power play. If he had a power play...
and it wasn't in red for a long time.
But he could have stalled it.
True. That is true.
He said he could, because if he went to a blue reverse and then a red, it would have
reverse.
stalled Acosta out.
That is a good point.
But if he had, let's say he did have that power play, though, and Acosta just, got beat to the punch, right? He could have used it, and then you put your blue 4 in, blue reverse, red reverse. But, it's all hindsight, right? But what a series this was, all the way to Game 7. Very lengthy game, though we had that delay in, Game 5, Game 6? It was Game 4.
Yeah, it was Game 4. Yeah.
Game 4. Yeah. Because all the other games were much shorter, though. So a lot faster pace, though, despite the outlier basically being Game 3 in this case. Well, Game 2 and so was kind of average, but mostly it was a lot faster than I thought it would have been, honestly. But yeah, I mean,
even if we shave
I don't know what else.
15 minutes there from Game 4, we're still looking at about an hour and a half series.
Hour and a half, yeah. But what a win for Acosta. How does it feel, though? All the mind games that happen, though, with a lengthy game like this, though. How does it feel to take this dub here today, Acosta?
And then Yepez,
And
obviously.
what did you learn from it? My bad.
Oh, no,
Let me
no, I'm
I
sorry, I
forgot
didn't mean
to
to cut
finish
you
the
off.
question. No, you're fine. But what did you take? What are notes you can take from this game that you can move on to your next matchup?
And Yepez, you say, sort of clinched into the Legends Championship, so, congratulations on that. But how much of a what you gonna be keeping an eye there on that bubble spot here with the remainder of T5 is going to be currently sitting right down around that bubble spot here to see if you're going to advance into Super League. How much attention are a lot of those games of those individuals down around that same area you're going to be keeping an eye on here to see if your Super League hopes will continue and you'll have an opportunity to be able to advance into that. Says it depends. Thinks he has a good case, but
I think he
we'll see.
does.
I think so too. I mean, you
With
look at
someone high caliber like him, I mean,
it's a 4
it'd be
versus
kind of a
5
sham if he
seed.
wasn't.
We drew it into a
Hmm.
game 7, a best of 7. Definitely. I think if I'm not mistaken, I believe that the lengthier the series are, that the seeding takes that into consideration as well.
Yeah, with them being so closely seated, though, I think that would be. I think he'd be fine. Personally speaking.
And according to Caesar, how about this for a stat? With that series, Yepez played the most Uno here this season by clock thus far. 11 hours, 58 minutes, and 12 seconds. So the man's nearly played half a day of Uno.
Man, that's more than a normal shift for me at work.
Gracious.
Maybe if I even did a 10-hour. That's just
That
crazy to
is
think about
crazy.
how they set the pace though. Both ends though. Like they play a little bit slower. Granted, like I said, the last few games played a little bit faster though, but I think that had to do a lot with the hands they had at the end. But like I said, I look back to like that game 6 though, that Acosta saved that power play. Well disciplined in not using it, taking that risk, and it worked out. Risk versus reward. And he got rewarded with saving that power play. And then it came into fruition here with that final game, Seth. What a huge. I felt like that was one of the biggest notes to take out of that. And then with
Yes.
Yepez having to use it very early, though, that really, despite he put a very good fight, regardless, though. So you cannot take the credit away where credit is due. But it really put Yepez in a gaping hole despite having a good amount of momentum near the mid half of this series.
It's incredible. It took them over 2 years to face off again against each other.
An absolute
And
banger.
yeah, completely different players from what they were back in 2023. It showed here in this matchup. Acosta saying he felt like Zachary Fitzwater there with all the color switching. The notes he had with Yepez being on his toes, held on giving him a blue 2 earlier in game 3 and got burned on it. Felt good, just pacing himself, turning the button on being aggressive. Power play Yepez used early definitely was huge looking back at it. But again, we talk about in the moment, go with your gut. I do not fault Yepez for playing the power play there when he did. We say all the time, hindsight's 20/20, but you got to make the choices in the moment. You can't, after the series is done, look back because it may not at this time seem like the right play, but in the moment definitely seemed like the right play. And we said it all the time, you can't take the power play with you. The power play after game 7, game 6, whenever the series ends, it's null and void. So use it when you've got the opportunity.
Oh, for sure. And we've seen players use those power plays really early, and it usually works out at the end too, where it just gives just that huge momentum just to go into their favor, and then they could just kind of set the tone from here on out. And this one is just two equal guys, like I said, unstoppable force versus a movable object in a nutshell. It's just a shame that one of them had to lose out in this one.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it's going to be interesting to follow the rest of T5 here, especially with what went down here. Yepez going to now drop down around the bubble spot for Super League. Acosta will move on. He'll face off against Monkey or Lara. That'll be at 8:30 this Sunday night to see who's going to face off against who here in the nuclear region in the Swarm 16. And this victory moves Acosta up onto the bubble spot for the Super League as well. That's going to do it here for our first stream of the day. we won't be back until 8 o'clock later on tonight, as we'll be in the bunker region with Lane Sanders taking on Yoshi, and then late night action in the tunnel region as G-Man and Christian Tago will go head-to-head in the third and final streamed game here on this Friday. Thanks to Zhao for being our referee. Thanks to DJ for joining me on commentary for this barn burner of a best-of-7 series. Acosta topples Yepez here today in the nuclear region. We'll see you guys later on tonight for our remaining 2 matchups as you continue to watch T5 Apocalyptic August here in the 2025 MRE Uno tournament here on YouTube.
This has been a presentation of MRE Uno Division 1.